Welcome back to another edition of Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. We like to call it the Hump Day edition of Ball Don't Lie or midweek movie music edition of Ball Don't Lie. We'll get to that coming up a little bit later on. We'll start previewing the Masters. Oh, a lot of storylines to get to. Also, go Stros. We'll talk about the Astros. Even though they lost, I still got to give you the go Stros. We'll get into that. Rangers also on the losing side of things. We'll talk some Texas baseball. They are not losers. Texas baseball with a win over Air Force. We'll talk about that coming up here momentarily. NBA news, notes, and nuggets. The Tankathon between the Spurs and the Rockets. We'll give you updates on that big game tonight between the Mavs and the Kings. Mavs trying to keep hope alive. We'll get into that discussion as well. We'll also talk about the NFL. Apparently, the Ravens are considering a quarterback in the first round of the NFL draft. Should the Cowboys trade for Cedric Wilson? We'll get into that. Bryce Young apparently scored very high on this really, really popular, trendy test that NFL scouts like to give quarterbacks, and Mac Jones on the trading block. All of that and more. Before we do, let's introduce you to the rest of the crew. He was a second-round pick for the Montreal Expos, but a first-round pick for the Austin Radio Network. He originally committed to the University of Texas, but decided to forego the 40 acres and chase his dream in the cheese. Pimping ain't easy, but for this man, it's a breeze. He is Mike Hardball Hards. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
We are ready for Masters. Woo, I'm so excited about it. Tiger Woods, y'all. He's back at it. And hopefully he can go out there and finish the weekend off. Don't know how he's going to hold up in this weather, but we'll see what happens. But let me talk about my man that sits across from me every single day. He hails from H-Town with the Get Down. He's a lifetime Longhorn and a proud card-carrying member of DBU. Legendary lifetime and now college football Hall of Fame Longhorn Derek Johnson said he was the best cover corner he had ever seen. He's a former NFL DB that still has that passion for film study, but he's not a fan of white condiments. But of course, he is a fan of you, the listeners. He is my man and yours, Rod Babels.
I appreciate that intro as always. That's not always any time introducing the real MVP, one of the hardest working members of the ARN family. He's got a hustler spirit, period. We don't know what he's paid. We do know that he's underpaid. It's Patrick Davis. That's also his Twitter handle. What's going on, Patrick?
I'm doing good. Getting through the week.
All right.
Also his Twitter handle.
It is. That's the truth. My man Harge is at Hardball Harge in the Twitterverse. I'm at Rod Babers in the Twitterverse. You can also reach out to us on the Specs text line. You're the heartbeat of this thing, 512-3373-776. That is the number. So we got a lot of different things to get into. We got an NFL segment we'll get to, top of the five. We'll talk some Texas football, go behind the burnt orange curtain, talk a little spring football in the top of the four. But we'll get into the Masters and preview that, and also talk some baseball with my man Hardball as well. Texas baseball with a big win over Air Force last night. A quick game, a game that it started at 4 o'clock, an hour into our show, and was over with, 20 minutes before the show ended, somewhere around there. Unbelievable. But we'll get into that too coming up. We'll talk some Major League Baseball, talk about the Astros and the Rangers. But first, let's get into the Masters, because the Masters starts up tomorrow, but the headlines are aplenty when it comes to the Masters. You just brought up Tiger Woods. A lot of people excited about Tiger Woods, as well they should be. Mm-hmm. And, I don't know. And even Tiger, he's tempering expectations. You can tell.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, Tigers, and he even talked about it, how we better start cherishing seeing Tiger at the Masters.
Yeah, basically.
Here's the quote from Tiger. He said, last year was kind of didn't know if I was going to play again at that time. For some reason, everything kind of came together and I made the cut, which was nice. But I don't know how many more I have in me. Just being able to enjoy my time here and the memories. End quote. So
yeah,
doesn't sound like he's really hyped about it, and the conditions are supposed to be
treacherous.
With rain coming in and stuff like that. So I don't know. Obviously, that doesn't help a guy like Tiger.
Not at all, especially on those soft grounds when you're starting to move around, and not only that. I'm old now, and every time I get up, I got to stretch. You know what I'm saying? You got to make sure that you are able to move around, and for him to get out there and play that many rounds of golf and be able to walk around, and I know it's nostalgic for him because of all the memories and everything that he's gone through there, but, the problem is it's not his reason, right? It's not his time because of the simple fact that all the injuries that he went through is something that you can't pass over, man. I mean, it just happens when you're dealing with those types of. He didn't even know if he was going to have a leg. He made the comment that this is my leg, because there was a thought process that he might have to lose a leg, and now he's able to be out there and move around. And let's not forget, his son Charlie is a damn good golfer, and he wants to be around him and being able to walk around with him. So I can understand that for Tiger.
Yeah, he said, quote, "My mobility is not where I would like it. I'm very lucky to have this leg." To Hodges' point, it's mine. Yes, it has been altered, and there's some hardware in there, but it's mine. It has been tough and will always be tough. It's one of the reasons I can't play as many tournaments as I would like, but that's my future, and I'm okay with that. So, to Hodges' point, yeah, he understands that he's just lucky to be able to participate at this point. If he makes a run, that's awesome for golf. But at this time, and it's strange and rare that when Tiger's in it, that he is not the top story. He's not. Right now, the ongoing beef and rivalry between the PGA Tour and the LIV Tour is right now one of the, if not the top storyline going into the Masters. There will be, I think, 18 total LIV golfers on the tour. I think there are 6 former Masters winners. That are also a part of that LIV Tour. Phil Mickelson, Schwartzwell, Bubba Watson, Sergio Garcia, Patrick Reed, and Dustin Johnson.
And that's the guy, too. Remember, I mean, we'll get into the conversation about the Masters, but remember when Dustin Johnson was one of the hottest players on the tour? Like, he was killing the game. And now he jumped over to LIV, and we don't even talk about him anymore.
Well, to be fair, we just don't talk about LIV because nobody watches LIV.
Right
now, this is why this is big for LIV, because this is the only showcase where people are actually going to watch LIV.
Yeah.
And I heard my man B&E talking about this. Heard Aaron talking about it earlier this week, and he did a great job because I thought he hit the nail on the head. They got a ton of free media. When LIV started snatching up players, and everybody was talking about LIV and the PGA and talking about the rivalry that exists between the two and the animosity between the players and the lawsuits, all this kind of stuff. And yet the ratings for those LIV events, some of them not even rated because I think they were streaming. I have no idea how many viewers, but it was laughable.
Yeah.
So nobody's tuning in, but this is their chance to still showcase. Now, this is competitive golf and not the kind of golf that they were playing on the LIV Tour. I know that's a different brand of golf too. But yeah, so I'm with you. It's interesting because I don't know how well they've been playing, really. I got some numbers on Phil Mickelson, how bad he's been playing, but the rest of the guys, I really couldn't tell if they've been playing bad or good on the LIV Tour.
Right.
Like who?
I know that I just know because I get an email every once in a while about it. Brooks Koepka won last week. He won $4 million.
I like Koepka.
No, me
I like
too.
Koepka
But I'm saying, like,
yeah, he's one of the LIV guys I think actually can make some noise.
But he's actually been playing terrible up until this week, and up until last week when he won his event.
Yeah,
that's the interesting part for me. Is like, okay, who is this? What is going to happen with these guys? Are they going to be able to make a run at it? Who will be the guy of the LIV players that you want to see on the run? I mean, that's why I was saying Dustin Johnson and Brooks Koepka would be the only two.
He's finished Dustin Johnson top 12 in 6 of the last 7 Masters. Yeah. So he'd be the guy that you look at of that group. But, yeah, I could see Koepka also being he's streaky.
Very
so I could see
streaky.
him being one of those guys. Phil Mickelson right now, I mean, he's playing his worst golf. Period.
That's because he got paid. That dude don't have to work now. He's like, man, I'm done with this. Thank you for the money. I'm moving on.
And a lot of guys had that attitude, and I'm not mad at him. Hey, man, go get your money. But here, Phil Mickelson, he finished since 2022. He's finished in his last. I guess this is 10 events essentially. 37th, 17th. He was 8th at an event in Chicago in 2022. But then 40th, 35th. 42nd, 34th, 41st, 32nd, 27th, and he's the 425th best player in the world. And a lot of those LIV events, I mean, they're out of 50, 60 guys. They're not. Right. You're not talking about a ton of guys that are in those tournaments. So he's been struggling. So we don't expect Phil Mickelson to make a make any noise.
Yeah.
If he does, that'd be wonderful.
It'd be interesting for sure.
You have a throwback like with Tiger or Phil, but I don't think either of those guys you're gonna get kind of a throwback. I think right now Rory McIlroy's got to be one of the favorites.
Yeah.
Rory McIlroy is playing really good golf, and everybody's waiting on him to finish, to complete the Grand Slam.
Everybody is waiting on him to finish that.
How long has it been now? How long have you been waiting on it?
Forever. It seems like, right?
It does seem like it's been forever.
Like it's been forever.
And it's crazy because it'd be different if it went away that, he's got obviously, an opportunity to get the Grand Slam. I think the sixth player, I believe, to get the Grand Slam. It's because it gets close.
Yeah. It gets real close.
He gets real close. I mean, he's had top 10 finishes in, I believe, 7 of the last 9 years. Remember that final round last year was, a 64?
Mm-hmm.
And he was killing it.
Getting after it.
And he led in driving distance, and he was second in greens in
regulation.
Yeah, in regulation. I think it was like 69% or something.
Rory McIlroy won the 2011 U.S. Open, 2012 PGA Championship, gets the third 2014 Open Championship.
So, yeah.
So since 2014, basically, 2014 PGA Championship he won as well. But since
we're going on 10 years.
So, yeah, we're going on 10 years that he has been looking for that Masters.
Oh, that's torture.
That is. And everybody's looking for him to do it because he's a good guy. He's one of the good guys that's out there playing on the tour.
Well, and he's elite. He's elite. All-time great golfer, too. And, yeah, you're right. He's recognizable.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of those recognizable faces and names in golf. He would be a great story, and he's got to be one of the favorites as well.
No doubt.
No question.
So here's on your favorite website, mybookie.com.
Shout out.
I took Rory McIlroy to win it, plus 710. I took Scotty Scheffler to win it, plus 710. And I also threw out there Jordan Spieth. He is plus 1625.
Yeah.
So your boy is out there with 3 of them.
Scheffler wouldn't make you any money, I guess, because the odds.
He does well, though.
Scotty Scheffler. I'm just saying because Scotty Scheffler, he's got to be one of the favorites, if not the favorite.
Yeah, he is definitely one of the favorites.
So I don't know the value in terms of you getting return on the investment with Scotty Scheffler.
Plus 670 on Scheffler.
Scotty Scheffler's the hottest golfer in the world right now.
Yeah.
It's actually, it's almost boring to talk about how good he is going in because he's the number one golfer going in. And, a lot of people believe he's just the odds-on favorite. He's playing that well. And, well, you got 2 Longhorns.
I do. I got to definitely have the Longhorns representing.
Yeah.
Got to throw it out there. You know who I'm still looking for him, but I don't see LT Gray on here because, I would have threw a little something on my boy. Just to see what he got
just for
working.
nostalgia's sake.
Just for it, man. Because he's trying to, like you said, he's trying to temper our expectations while he's out there being an assassin on the golf course against some of these other people. Oh, he's plus 7,500. T. Gray.
Yeah.
All right, I'm doing it.
So you doing it? Good for you. I like it. Go ahead.
Let me go ahead and light that money on fire.
I'm gonna say tune in early. You'll see Tiger. Tune in early. I believe he's going. I don't know what time tomorrow. Tune in early. Make sure. So I think the best storyline though is you got the PGA guys versus the LIV guys. I think it's gonna be great. I do. I think it's something that I don't know if they're trying to take advantage of it. I looked at some of the matchups, and based on the matchups, it doesn't seem like that's one of the things that the Masters is promoting. I just hope that on the final day it comes down to at least one of those guys that's in it. One of those LIV guys is in it. One of them. If it is, I think it makes it a whole lot more interesting.
If they are, it definitely will
just
make
one.
It interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if you're going to have a bunch of – they say right now they're talking about – at least Greg Norman's talking about celebrating on the 18th hole.
And man, look, if
one of their guys wins it, they're going to celebrate on the 18th hole.
If there was no arguments last night at the dinner, Greg Norman needs to – he wasn't even he's not even a winner.
No. And
so what you talking about?
Reportedly, it was pretty calm that there wasn't any.
There wasn't nothing going on.
Taunting, trash talk, any of that stuff going on.
They tried to keep it professional. You know why? Because it was the Masters. If it had been any other tour, there might have been an issue.
Hey, man, you know what I say. I think that golf should take a lesson from women's basketball. Get petty and get petty quickly. We saw it pay off for the ladies, man.
Yeah, it's still going on
We
for
saw
the
it, right?
ladies.
That's
yeah.
saw it pay. It's still going on.
Yeah, it's still going on
We're
for the
still
ladies.
talking about that damn
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
They still milking it for everything gets worse, and still the country is captivated by it. I'm
Yep.
telling you.
Yep.
If I was running the PGA, I'd look at that and go, guys,
Let's
it's
get this
clear.
going.
We need some trash talk. I need you guys to go out there and talk some trash to them live guys. I would like it reported that was a scuffle. That was a dust up at the dinner between a couple of players. We won't say who it was, but it was a live guy and a PGA guy. We need stories like that out there. We need to take a page from the NBA and take a page from women's basketball because that led to those ratings. Do I need to repeat for you the ratings?
9.9 million.
9.9 million viewers. All right.
Peaked at
Think about that.
12.6. Peaked at 12.6 million.
Come on now.
Come on, man.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It ain't, come on. That's 9.9 million viewers. That is more than every NHL Stanley Cup game since 1973. Games 1, 2, 3, and 5 of the 2021 NBA Finals. More than the Sugar Bowl, the Orange Bowl. I mean,
Put a bowl on it.
come on now.
That's right.
It was basically higher rated than every NBA playoff game last year.
No
or at least
doubt.
had more viewers than every NBA playoff game last year except the finals.
Every NBA. Think about that.
In every Major League Baseball postseason game except for the World Series.
Think about the fact that you just said every NBA game.
Come on, man. It
that's
was higher
ridiculous.
rated than LSU, Bama, Ohio State, Penn State,
Yes.
Notre Dame, USC.
Oh, my goodness.
All because America wanted to tune in for these ladies talking some trash, being petty. Guys, the game wasn't even that good.
It was not. It was a blowout. It was a blowout.
We were
early
watching
for
the game. The
most
game
part.
wasn't even
Yeah.
that good. All these storylines are coming from a game that really wasn't that good. And there's an old Hollywood saying that if you can't be good, at least be interesting.
Oh, yeah. And if you can't beat them,
That's what reality
beat
TV is
'em.
all about.
yeah. If you can't beat them, beat them.
You're right. I mean,
Yeah.
so, and now they're still talking about this story. We'll get to the latest on it, but
Well,
yeah.
speaking of the Masters, make sure you get over to hornfm.com right now to make your picks. The registration is now open for our first of 4 fantasy golf majors powered by Callahan's General Store. Get over there and click. You got until 5:55 tomorrow morning, 5:55 a.m. before the first tee. And get in there and get a chance to win. First place will get a $100 gift card to Callahan's General Store. I mean, store, not score. I was looking at how
you
to
can
create
score at
the
the
score.
store.
That's right.
You can score at the store.
You definitely can. So get over there to make your picks now.
All right, go check that out. And Texter here says, keep an eye, Daydrinker, keep an eye on Xander.
Xander.
Yeah. Tied for what, second in 2019,
Mm-hmm.
third in 2021.
I'm in.
That's a guy to keep an eye on.
He's pretty talented.
I agree with you on that too. Yeah, my man CB. CB says still waiting on Speed to complete the Grand Slam. He needs the PGA Championship. Yeah,
Yep.
forget about that one too. That one's haunting him. He right now. A lot of people say he's playing some of his best golf too, and he loves the Masters and plays it really well. But obviously, this is not going to help him complete the Grand Slam. But it'd be great to get another Masters on your belt, no question. So, I guess I love the storylines. I'm going to be tuning in for the Masters. I usually don't make it a priority to tune in for the Masters. I keep up. You can keep up
You can.
and not tune in. I'm
Very
tuning
fair.
in. I want to see some beef. I know there's not going to be any actual beef happening, but I do want to see if any of the live guys will make it interesting. And if Tiger is going to make a run, that's the storyline too. Like I said, I'll tune in early to watch Tiger.
Hey, he'll make it through the weekend. I think he gets to the weekend.
Okay. All right.
He's teeing off 9 a.m. tomorrow morning.
All right. Thank
9
you.
a.m.
Thank you very much.
So you'll be
Patrick.
able to get it.
There you
You'll
go.
be able to get up and watch
I'll
that.
get up early to watch Tiger.
No doubt.
No doubt. All right. So let's get to some baseball discussion. You want to go Major Leagues, Harge, or you want to go Texas?
Well, we can go Major League. I
You
like
want Major
that.
League? All right. Well, I guess it's unfortunate then, because then we got to talk about the Astros losing another game, and now they've lost 4 out of their first 6 games, and they lost 7-6. And the thing about the most recent loss for the Astros, they lost. I take that back. They lost 7-6 last game. They lost to the Tigers 6-3. And now are 2-4.
Yep.
So the 2 losses. I apologize, but that was the first loss. So this is the thing, though. And just kind of recognizing the differences between the first 6 games of this year and last year. First 6 games of last season, 2022, 14 runs allowed. You've doubled that. You have 29 runs allowed now.
Oh, it's a different game now.
Your team ERA is at 4 point. It was at it's at 4.3 now, 4.34. It was at 1.69 as a team ERA through the first 6 games of last season. In a nutshell, there you go. I mean, that's the, I mean, and it's nothing to panic about because you got a long season, and Astros got a lot of injuries so they're waiting on some guys to come back. You're far from even freaking out. Most Astros fans, hell, they're yawning at this 2-4 right now for the Astros, but
they're about to be 3-4 because they are up now in the top of the 8th, 6-1 against the Detroit Tigers. So you still have time to just continue to roll and continue to let it play out. Don't forget, you don't have Altuve. They finally let Chas McCormick play center field, and all he does is drive in runs. I mean, my man was a hero during the World Series, and he couldn't get off the bench until later this week, and my man started doing some things. So, I mean, there's some things that, as you said, Rod, I mean, you can work through it. You lose a Justin Verlander on your staff, and now you have Hunter Brown, who is the younger version of a Verlander. You still have Frammer. You got guys that are trying to take over new roles as far as leadership is concerned too. You brought in Abreu, who's doing well.
He is,
but everybody's trying to figure out where they're rolling. And you got my man Pena, who was 0 for 17 at one point. You know what I'm saying?
And Bregman started
slow.
Cursed by Mark Wahlberg. This is all Mark Wahlberg's fault. It all goes back to Wahlberg.
Did say we may have some salsa, but I'm still a rojo socks.
It's gonna take them a while to get this Mark Wahlberg curse off of him real quick.
I think the World Baseball Classic affected the Astros a lot too because they had a lot of guys that played in it, but for different teams. So I think there was some of just the continuity of the team, finding out who are your guys that are going to be on the bench, because it doesn't seem like they have a ton of depth right now, and that goes into Brantley being hurt and Altuve being hurt. But you just want to get a little bit more depth there on the bench, and you want the pitching to pitch back up. The pitching wasn't great to start the season last year either. If you remember, a couple of years, Brett Strom, who's been the pitching guru coach for many years, the Astros left.
Oh yeah.
Verlander stepped up into a role of a leadership role for pitching. Then you kind of got to find that guy again and find out who's going to help a lot of these young guys in pitching. But that's all stuff you can figure out throughout the season. You just have to identify the problems and start picking up. But right now it is, all right, we need to try and get a couple more guys. Like, I'm glad to see McCormick get in. So you're like, I mean, you gotta find a couple guys because we've been in the position that the game they lost last night was extra innings.
Yeah,
Monday night was extra innings game, and so if you're gonna have losses like that, you're like, yeah, you can't have, Diaz, who's I mean, and he went well in spring training and he hit well in the minors last year, but that's who you're given to come in and pinch hit for you in a big spot when you had a man on base and he's not able to get hit. You're like, it's a big position to put somebody in who doesn't really have it yet.
Yep.
So you'd like to have a couple more guys with a little bit more experience on there to take some of those bigger hits.
I like what you said about the pitching staff, though. It's a good point.
Yeah.
About the leadership.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's what I was saying. When Verlander left, he kind of was that guy, and now you're looking for answers.
No, I remember last year when they were a little bit more lost, and Verlander stepped up to that, where he was like, okay, I need to stop focusing just on myself, because he's always been very much in his own era, in his own world. But also, I get you're not going to pay a guy who, again, missed starting the season because of injury. Right. He's getting older. That amount of money to be a pitching coach. So I get it, but you just have to find your veteran leadership at pitching. If maybe you go out and sign another guy or bring a guy into the minor league system to see if he can still got it, who's a more heady pitcher to help in kind of mentoring some of these younger guys. So you got a lot of good young pitching.
Yeah, Framber actually pitched well.
Yeah.
Last game. It had a little 7 innings, I believe, 9 strikeouts.
Solid.
Yeah, I mean, he was pretty good. But that's a great point about the leadership, though, with that pitching group. And right now, the team ERA, like I said, 4.3. And that's for the Astros, that's a striking difference than last season, where they had, I think, the best bullpen ERA in all of Major League Baseball. Flip the script over to the Rangers because the Rangers lost again to the Orioles.
Yeah.
7-2. They are now 3-2 on the season. But man, their bullpen actually has been really good so far. And strangely enough, they had historic offense actually. Those first 2 games of the season.
Yep.
They scored. Sorry, and if you look at that first 2 games, they scored 27 runs, which was the second most by a team in the first 2 games since like 1900.
Yeah, which is very, very rare.
And then they have cooled off considerably, though.
Well, they just heated back up because they just got a dub today.
There you
So
go.
now
Just
they're
went final.
5-2. They just went final. And you're right about their bullpen and what's been going on and how they've looked so far. That's huge for them. That is huge for them. And again, I keep bringing this up. Bruce Bochy being their manager now changes the way that they go about their business. I told you last year I didn't think Chris Woodward was the right guy. I thought it was time for him to be moved from. They ended up firing him halfway through the season. But they bring in Bruce Bochy, who was away from the game for a little bit, and now he's back. He's a calming force. They went out and got good pitchers in DeGrom and Uvalde, and you already have Martin Perez. So they have the pieces, and now everybody's had almost a full spring training together. You brought up young Josh Young, who hit a home run again today. I mean, you've got some pieces there to go along with Seager and Simeon. So this is going to be a fun team to watch. I mean, I know, again, we talked about it on the other side of it when you were talking about the Astros being it's a long season. Same thing for the Rangers. They got to build up their credibility so people will be like, okay, they're a real team. They're a real team.
It's for the Rangers right now. Jacob deGrom, right? Did he pitch?
He pitched today.
How did he do?
He threw well today, finally, and that's what they were looking for.
Yeah, that was the Rangers fans to start the season. That was really frustrating. It was kind of a roller coaster of emotion for them because they started off Jacob deGrom on the mound, struggle. They go down 5 runs, I believe, in the fourth inning, I believe.
He gave up 5 runs quick.
And then they end up winning that game with an offensive explosion, a ton of run support. So good to see Jacob deGrom bounce back.
Yeah, 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned run, and 11 Ks today. So,
that's a hell of a bounce back.
Yeah, so he came back with it. And again, remember I told you, the Phillies knew him. They had a book on him. So opening day, it wasn't against the Baltimore Orioles, a team that hadn't seen Jacob deGrom before. The Phillies already knew the recipe on him. So that's the other part of that deal.
Yeah, Texas says, quit blaming Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. No, this is the start. Really, it's the Astros' fault because they allowed the Alex Bregman business partnership with Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, or at least what is it, Salsa?
Yeah, it is.
Is it salsa, whatever it is?
Him and Bregman bombs.
Yeah, they allowed that to corrupt a very sacred kind of practice and tradition, which is, hey, to play ball to start the season, that should go to somebody who is, I don't know, a Houstonian, or at least somebody who is associated with that baseball organization program or that city, whatever it is.
Yep.
And Marky Mark, that doesn't make no damn sense. Why can't he throw out for the Boston Red Sox? Them his people. Ain't them his people?
Them is his people.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Go throw it out for them.
So you're going to have to be, you got to deal with the curse. The baseball gods, they didn't like that. So you're going to have to deal with the curse of Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. Probably for about 4-5 more games. I mean, it's going to be hard. You got to just deal with it.
Yep.
Yeah, you got a long season. It's okay.
Yeah, you got some time to shake that curse off.
Yeah, but that's what is baseball about?
Yeah,
what do you always talk about?
superstitious, man.
There you go.
You gotta change up some things.
All right.
Get on the road or something.
There you go.
Don't go to Boston though.
Come on. I ain't superstitious.
You do gotta go to Boston to wipe it off of you then.
Maybe you know what, we gotta look at the schedule. Maybe there's something going on there. But I'm telling you, that was foul. That didn't make no sense.
That's all Marky Mark.
Got everybody in the country talking about Megan Thee Stallion.
Yeah, that's right.
And then you come up with Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
The best part of that promo is when you go, I don't give a damn.
No, we don't. You see what happened too? What was it? That was a 10-year streak.
That was a 10-year streak.
Of winning opening day
That's right.
for the Astros.
That's right.
And then they're celebrating their world championship.
Exactly.
And they lose. Everything's going right. What happened?
Marky Mark.
You know what happened. Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. All right, we'll come back. We'll get to NBA news, notes, and nuggets on the other side. Talk about the Mavs. They're trying to keep hope alive. We are rooting for the Mavs now. I'm not a Mavs fan, but they're the only Texas team that has a chance of making the playoffs. The rest of the Texas team, they are in the tankathon, and they're both losing. We'll come back and talk about it right here on Ball Don't Lie. What a foot out the horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn, a midweek movie music edition of Ball Don't Lie. That's where my man Patrick takes songs from a soundtrack, plays those selections for us, and based on the songs that are played, Harj and I are supposed to gather clues and hints as to what the feature of midweek movie music is. All right. Harj, you got anything?
I mean, I don't even know what song this is, but it sounds kind of crazy.
It sounds like techno kind of what.
Yeah.
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 Okay,
So it's definitely this was a club scene, I feel like, in a movie. Maybe.
Who sings this song?
KMFDM.
Okay.
Yeah, I have no clue, but
I have
I'm
no
gonna throw something out
Oh,
there.
Hail Mary. Go.
Yeah, I'm throwing a
I
Hail
like
Mary.
that.
Mario comes out this weekend. The game
Yeah,
Mario
it
comes
does
out
come
this
out.
weekend.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with that.
You're going to go with it is not Mario.
Okay.
I will also tell you it is not the old Bob Hoskins Mario movie either.
Okay.
It's not that either.
That's a great guess.
It's a good guess. It's
That's
a good
a
guess.
really
I didn't
good
even
guess.
think of that, but yeah,
Okay.
it's not. I don't know how the soundtrack is for that Bob Hoskins Mario.
Okay.
Man, I don't know if I even saw that Mario.
John Leguizamo and Bob Hoskins
I'm sure I saw
are Mario and Luigi, and it's Anthony Hopkins
Yeah,
is
actually,
Bowser.
I
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
I vaguely
Yeah,
remember
it's a
it
weird
now.
movie.
It was a bad one.
I liked it because I was a kid at the time.
Yeah.
I thought
And
this
so
was
it's
a
just like a
Yellow
thing-
Rose song. First way.
Maybe it has been. I mean, how do you know it hasn't been a Yellow Rose song?
Exactly.
I mean, it came out a long time ago, obviously.
I'm like,
And
man.
Yellow Rose is still in operation.
It's still in operation.
All right, there
it might
you
have
go.
been in one of the movies. It might have been.
Oh man! All right, let's get to some NBA news and notes. And all right, so midweek movie music. Thanks to my man Patrick, always keeping us on our toes. We silenced the Specs text line just for a while though, so Harj and I, can try to at least compete and figure out what the feature of midweek movie music is on our own. But we'll open it back up in a couple of segments after we embarrass ourselves, or we actually end up getting. Harj is better than you think at this. He's actually gotten it on the first time a few times.
No doubt.
All right, let's get to the Mavericks here, guys, because we're hoping that the state of Texas can be represented in some capacity in the NBA playoffs, and the only hope is right now the Dallas Mavs, and it's a small, minuscule, little tiny bit of hope, but there is some hope. They have to play the Sacramento Kings, and Luka says he will play. That was the big topic of the conversation early this week, was Luka's health, and there was some concern that the Mavs, and I think Shams Charania was the one who threw it out there. The Mavs may try to hold him out for the last 3 games. Patrick broke down why, because of the protected top 10 pick that they traded away in that Kristaps Porzingis trade.
No, in the Kyrie Irving trade.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kyrie
yeah.
Irving trade. Oh, that was
Yes,
okay.
because they got to give that pick up to Brooklyn. So Brooklyn will have their first round pick this year, unless it is in the top 10, in which case Dallas gets it, and then it reverts to a later pick.
All right. Yeah, my bad. Okay, there you go. So Luka says he's gonna play. He says, "quote, basically, I'm playing tomorrow. When there's still a chance, I'm going to play, and there is still a chance. They're only a half a game back
Yep.
right now of OKC, I believe, who has lost 3 straight.
Which is, this may be a young team that's getting tired when you start looking at OKC. Their stars play a lot of minutes because they were playing so good early in the year. So it makes me wonder if that's what's happening with them. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander plays a lot of minutes for them. He's still scoring well, but those other guys aren't stepping up when he is having a little bit of a struggle. So it is definitely something to pay attention to. But as I look at this team, and as I'm talking about the Mavs now, were they trolling us this year? Is Jason Kidd looking at them and saying, all right, guys, let's go after this thing now? Is he trying to motivate these guys? I know Patrick thinks he's walking out of the locker room halfway through the meetings and not even talking to people when he goes in. But are they going to, because some people can say, let's go win these things in spite of Jason, right? A lot of professionals and their competitive nature, their competitive sickness. We all thought that Kyrie was going to be a problem. He doesn't seem to be the problem of the group. On the external, I think he's been playing well, and from all accounts, he's been a major He's been a good teammate in the locker room. So is it Luka? Going back to what we talked about, Patrick, at the very beginning, I'm like, this dude has been playing basketball for a very long time. It's going to wear him out. You know, he was the one that should have been doing load management, but he should have been doing it early in the year.
To that point, Luka said, I've been playing basketball for 3 straight years, 4 weeks in between it was free. He said, for weeks in between it was free. Sometimes it's really hard for me to play really hard on both ends, but obviously the defensive end, I've got to be way better. So,
I mean, dude just telling on himself.
well, no, I think he's just saying
Yeah.
that, he's got to be better on the defensive end. I think he understands that. I mean, his usage rates are all-time high. I mean, you're
Right.
talking about, some of the top 5 all-time numbers in usage rates. That was way too much on Luka's shoulders, and it was a miracle they made the run they did last year. But obviously what they've constructed around him now is just not working, but they can still make the playoffs. That's the point now. OKC's got at Utah and Memphis left, and they've lost 3 straight. They're only a half a game lead over the Mavs, and Minnesota's also, I guess they're 1-3 in their last 4, so at least they've won 1 of their last 4. But they got San Antonio left on the road and versus New Orleans on the New Orleans at home, I should say. So those are the 2 teams to watch. If both of those teams collapse down the stretch, then the Mavs are, if the Mavs got to win, they got to take care of business. Mavs are going to get in.
Right.
Big night tonight versus the Kings.
All eyes on them, Patrick. All eyes on them tonight.
All eyes on him.
The Kings just won their division and cashed a big old lotto ticket. If you would have bet on the Kings to win that division, you would have won. I think it was like 85-1.
Oh, yeah.
For them to win their division.
It was they had the longest playoff drought in North American sports.
Yeah.
And they snapped it this year.
That's
All
right.
the California teams are in the playoffs, actually,
Yeah.
for the first time
And the Texas
ever.
teams are scrapping.
And, we may have no Texas teams in the playoffs for the first time ever, if the Mavs don't.
Well, Sacramento, so Dallas needs to get one of them beams. Have you
Yep.
seen what Sacramento has, like the
yeah.
beam?
Oh,
You know
what
about
is
like
it?
the
They
beam?
light it. They light it.
So they put this thing, like this light on the top of their building, and then the mascot hit it, and they light the beam. It's about winning games and stuff.
What does the beam light? Where does it light
It's
up
like
at?
It's like a bat signal.
It's a bat signal on the
On the roof or on the court?
It's inside and it's outside.
yeah.
It's both.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the tower too. If they win, they can light the beam and everything.
10-12 right here on 104.9 The Horn.
Okay.
So they have that
Nice.
thing, but since they did it, now they've gotten better, and so now everyone's like, I guess we need a beam.
Now they worship the beam.
No, you
Oh,
got
now
to
the
It's a
beam
whole
is
thing.
sacred?
They had like 6 mascots show up the other day, and they all wanted their own beam. And it's a thing, but
It's a beautiful thing.
Wow.
no, but
When you
but
win
this-
and you had a drought, I mean, you needed that drought. You needed something.
But you
why
look at
can't it
Sac-
just be good coaching? Good player.
Mike
it is
Brown.
good
It's
coaching.
the
Mike
beam.
Brown.
No, it's good coaching, and it's putting together a plan for a team to where, like this year in the draft, everyone was saying they should have gone with Jaden Ivey. That you should go with Jaden Ivey. He's the better player. It's a better player. You go ahead and get rid of some other guys on your team. You move around, and you just basically keep rebuilding, getting the same positions. They decide to go with Keegan Murray instead and say he fits what we need.
Yep.
He's the most NBA-ready to player in the draft. We traded for Sabonis because we feel like he can add something to our team, and they built a team
Yep.
that is now hitting on all the cylinders and they're rolling. And some of these other teams, like the Mavericks, and that's where Nico Harrison comes in, are built in a way of, look, with Luka Doncic, there's one way to build this team, and you didn't do that. And so you try to go another way, but your coach wants to play defensive basketball. If you want to try and play run TMC, you want to play part of the Suns back in the early 2000s and the Mike D'Antoni,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
fine, but you need to play that.
Yep.
But they're still trying to pretend to play defense in half court and all this other stuff instead of just running down the court and trying to score in 8 seconds, which they could do because they have insanely talented offensive players, but they keep trying to make it a defensive team, and you can't build a team with the wrong pieces and try and make them do something they don't do. The Kings did not do that this year. After years and years of trying to stick them into whatever system, and you bring in a veteran coach who wants to try and do things the old-fashioned way with De'Aaron Fox, who's not that type of player, and they finally figured out, it's like, oh, we have some talented players. We just need to use them in the correct way.
Yeah, no, it is. I haven't watched a ton of Sacramento, but I've actually done more research than I've watched them. I've watched them just a few times because they're not on a lot in our area. Unless you got NBA package, which my man Patrick does, so he watches a ton of them. And I know Hard, you watch a lot of NBA too. I love this that in his first full season in Sacramento, to Patrick's point about them building and constructing this philosophy around specific skill sets of players, handpicking these guys. Sabonis is averaging a career high 7.2 assists per game. He's going to become just the third center in NBA history, joining Wilt Chamberlain and Nikola Jokic to average so many assists in the season. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And they're doing it. How about this? He also basically is like the handoff king right now. In terms of dribble handoffs, basically he has more dribble handoffs than any player in the league right now. It says basically if you go look at the Sacramento Kings just overall and Sabonis, it's like one of their number one plays. He's got over 1,000 dribble handoffs in 2023, or at least this season, I should say. The next closest is Joker, and he's got under 500.
Wow.
It's like their signature play with him, the dribble handoff. It's freaky.
That's
cool.
crazy.
Yeah,
well,
it's
and I
crazy.
mean, because like those dribble handoffs and stuff like that work really well if you know how to keep your feet set and stuff.
Slide with them.
Because you're basically setting a screen while you're making a pass.
And
So it takes the right player to do it, because if you do it otherwise, you get a foul called on you a lot because you're still moving when you do it. There's a little bit more nuance to it than a lot of guys have. Sabonis is a smart player. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he makes contact with, to Patrick's point, he makes contact with 77% of his picks after a handoff.
And look, we know Sabonis came from one of the best passing big men of all time, in Arvydas Sabonis.
Yeah.
So he worked on it as a kid because his dad was amazing at passing as well.
Yeah, it is. It's so the Mavs, getting back to that, is the system that they have to try to figure out a way to neutralize tonight. Good news is Kings are coming off the second night on the back-to-backs, so that's always good news. I think they're 8-6 in those situations. So, and of course the Mavs are playing at home.
Yeah.
All right, so the Mavs have that going for them as well. And but you know the last time the Mavs won a home game?
It's been a minute.
March 7th.
I was going to say, it's been a minute.
That's almost a month.
That is it's over a month.
Actually,
I mean, because we're
right at it.
Yeah.
Right? Sorry, I'm an old man. My bad. Yeah, old man. Yeah, you're right there.
That's how I know the days, bro.
Yeah. I mean, we're right there. That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, the Mavs, they're trying to keep hope alive. Hopefully, they can do it tonight versus the Sacramento Kings, who are the biggest surprise story in the NBA this year, though.
Right.
But Patrick's telling you that this thing was put together with a lot of thought. And you can tell that this may have some staying power.
Yeah,
with Sacramento, this may not just be
I
some
like
flash and some outlier. They got some good young pieces there. And Keegan Murray?
Keegan Murray from Iowa.
Did he set the record for 3-pointers made for a rookie in the NBA this
I
year?
can believe that.
I think so.
Yeah,
He was the one.
I remember reading that as well.
He was the one that I really wanted the Spurs to try and get. And he went before them, but I wanted them. Because he's the most NBA ready player in that draft. Like when you look at a guy who goes, I could see him on an NBA lineup right now, and I could see what he can do, and he's so valuable to a team. And now his ceiling's not as high as some of these other guys where you go, Jaden Ivey may be an all-star. And Banchero now, especially, like those top three guys were going to be the top three guys.
Yeah.
But you were like, Keegan Murray, he's like, he can get on a team. And of all these guys, his ceiling is an all-star, really. It's all-star, but his ceiling's not like all-NBA.
But plug and play.
But if you want to say a guy that will start on your team for 8 to 10 years, that's who he is.
And immediately.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
No doubt. All right. Good stuff. We'll come back. Got the flex on the other side right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104 now the Horn.
Mike Harge here for Pest Wranglers. PestWranglers.com is where you need to go for your pest control needs. The weather has been different, a lot of rain, so you know there's some critters that are trying to get into the house, whether it's ant mounds, and you know mosquitoes like to come out with this type of rain, termites, rodent control, or inspections, whether it's for residential or commercial properties. Please call my friends at Pest Wranglers at 512-670-7808 or go to their website at pestwranglers.com. Pest Wranglers won't make you sign a contract because they keep their customers happy by keeping them happy. They've got 5-star ratings on Google, Yelp, Angie's List, and all referral sites. I'm telling you right now, Steve Hunt started this company because he wanted to do what's right for his employees and, of course, his customers. That's not happening if you don't have a great base and have a great principle of customer service to lead. That leads to happy customers. It's locally owned, it's a small family business, and it's been around since 2006. PestWranglers.com, PestWranglers.com. And I want to give you my pest of the week. It's the umpires in the major leagues. They have become a pest because they are staying on these batters and these pitchers. Some games are ending, people are striking out, but I tell you what, Pest Wranglers is the way to go. Go to PestWranglers.com.
All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Oh, man. Midweek movie music edition of Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Okay, is this Boomerang?
I was just about to say, this sounds like a Boomerang, but didn't
No.
we do Boomerang
Okay.
already this year?
I don't think
I don't know we did, but no,
The
it's
only
not.
reason I think Boomerang got this because I think this is on the Boomerang soundtrack.
It's gotta be, because all you can see is
and
Eddie
I think
looking
Eddie
at them
Murphy
toes.
and Eddie Murphy had a birthday this week.
It is Eddie's birthday.
It is Eddie.
Great job. Eddie's birthday was yesterday.
It is
the
Eddie
third.
Murphy's
No,
birthday?
no, it is. I'm sure it is. It has nothing to do with this
it
movie.
was yesterday.
It was
has
the
nothing to
third.
do with
It
this
was
movie.
April
It
the
was
3rd.
like earlier this week.
It's April the 3rd.
Okay.
Yeah.
It has nothing
I
to do
know
with this
that
movie,
for
though.
a fact.
So is it about Eddie Murphy though?
No, Eddie Murphy is not in this movie.
Okay.
I love how Eddie Murphy randomly took it over. So it's got nothing to do with Eddie Murphy.
I'm trying to think
And
of what
it is
anniversary
not-
movie is coming. Is this
and it's
this
not
ain't Stella?
Boomerang.
No?
Oh man. I
Man.
don't know. Well, okay, all right.
I was with you too. I was like, wait a minute, this
That's
sounds
all
like
that
a
came to
Boomerang.
mind. Boomerang's a great soundtrack, by the way. It's one of the all-time greatest soundtracks of my. That's what End of the Road is on.
Yep.
Although we've come, it's good.
So we still have one more segment, I guess.
Yeah, we're just
Before we get to
embarrassing
layup,
ourselves. We have no.
Until we get to the
It's gonna
layup.
upset us too. 'Cause I think I have I seen it. This is always have I seen it?
Yes.
Oh my
No,
God.
He said it confidently.
Oh, he
too.
said it quick. He
Like
didn't
we've
even
talked
hesitate.
about it. Okay, FLXATX.com, FLXATX on all your social media platforms. Hart, you broke some news to me that is Flex related. Actually, it's family twice.
yes, it
Lifetime
is.
Longhorn related family and also Flex related
And
family.
it is Flex family. And it's our man Mike Adams. His son Deuce has committed to Louisville Cardinals. He's a heck of a quarterback out of New Braunfels. Heck of a football player. Heck of a baseball player as well. I remember early in his recruitment, TCU was on him for baseball and football. So there was two different coaches at the time, though, and you know how that happens when those transitions happen. It changes things up a lot. But
True that.
as you said, for family, you know, Mike Adams is one of the best to ever do it. And we talked about Mike before flag football. I had to call him. So he said, people been telling me y'all was talking about me in my flag football.
Hey, don't tell.
I was
wouldn't
like,
disrespect
it was on love,
Yeah,
though. He said,
love,
oh, I
don't
know. So
Ain't nobody hate nobody
Yeah.
Adams, man. No doubt. Like, even when I came back to school, I would go get work with Mike Adams, man,
Yeah.
out there doing some running some routes. And I don't know how old he was, but he still can give you the business.
he can definitely give you the business. Oh, show.
But I'm sure his son obviously got some of them good genes in him, no doubt. So congratulations, that's pretty good.
Yep.
You've been keeping up with the high school baseball.
I have been keeping a
in the
lot.
West. You went to a Westlake game not too long ago, I
Yep.
believe.
And they were one of the hottest teams in the country. They were ranked number 13 in the nation. Last night, Dripping Springs got them, though. Dripping Springs got them.
Hey.
And they're going to face them again. I
Okay.
believe it's either tomorrow or they might try to move it to Friday. Weather, depending on weather.
That's right.
They're going to have those games happen again. So shout out to them. And then I also remember Bowie. Bowie beat
Bulldogs,
the
baby.
Bowie Bulldogs beat Johnston. Just Johnston. I keep saying Johnston because I'm thinking about Buda Johnson.
Yeah.
They beat them last night as well. So been a lot of great stuff that's happening, and in this district play, it's been real tough. So
All right, we'll have some more updates, but actually, the Flex Crew will have updates tonight. They're actually on
right.
after us. The Flex Crew will have the Wednesday Night Flex coming up right after Ball Don't Lie, so you don't want to miss that. All right, we come back. We'll get into some Texas football spring nuggets and some notes as well. DeMarvin Overshown getting a lot of NFL love. That comes from Ian Rappaport. We'll talk about that as well. And also, we'll get into the players who are winning individual position battles during spring football. All of that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Let me tell you about Dr. Greg Eckert and his fantastic team, because if you have any health or concerns about your dental health or your hygiene, you can holler at my man, Dr. Greg Eckert, or his fantastic team. They do a great job. Now, it's Dr. Greg Eckert with a U, and the U is appropriate because he's all about you. He's all about the patient to make sure that you're getting the best quality dental care available. And it can be anything from dental anxiety, which a lot of people have. That's no problem for Dr. Greg Eckert and his team. They can ease your dental anxiety. As a matter of fact, they specialize in easing dental anxiety. Also, any general dentistry or teeth whitening, dentures, porcelain crowns, veneers, dental implants, full mouth reconstruction, even root canal therapy, whatever it takes to ensure you're getting the best quality dental care available. That's what Dr. Greg Eckert and his team are all about. And first time I got a chance to visit Dr. Greg Eckert at his office, I remember a woman coming out and she was actually crying, and I thought to myself, see, this is what a dentist's office it's always what I pictured. Somebody crying, tears of sorrow and sadness. They're in pain. Turns out I was wrong. She was actually crying tears of joy because Dr. Greg Eckert had given her the smile that she had always wanted. She looked in the mirror and she saw her smile. It looked so beautiful. It brought her to tears. He can do the same for you, and he can do it in just one day. All right, Dr. Greg Eckert can give you a brand new smile in just one day, permanently secured to dental implants. No time spent without teeth. You get temporary fixtures until they can complete your permanent smile, and you'll smile again with confidence and eat freely without pain or discomfort. We're talking about a lifelike permanent solution. So if you've been told your teeth need to be replaced, don't even worry about it. Call Dr. Greg Eckert today and learn about this revolutionary alternative to dentures. It's a brand new smile in just one day. It sounds too good to be true. It's not. It's just Dr. U. 512-345-3166. It's a complimentary consultation. That means you got nothing to lose but everything to gain. A confident smile can truly change your life. Dr. Greg Eckert knows that. Go give him a call, 512-345-3166, or visit dreckert.com, DRUECKERT.com. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn, midweek movie music edition of Ball Don't Lie. Patrick takes songs from a soundtrack, plays those selections for us, and based on the songs that are played, we're supposed to figure out clues and hints that lead us to the featured film of midweek movie music. It took Harge a little while. It's like supposed to be your movie, man.
It is.
So this is on you.
It is on me.
I'm so disappointed.
I'm
I
very
was trying to be
Yeah.
tricky, but still.
You were tricky.
Yeah.
You were. That very first song, I was like, where was
It's
this?
in a club scene.
Yeah. Yes.
This is, yeah.
Is this the club scene? Well, not this one, but the first one when he got into the fight?
Yeah.
That's why I said
That's what I thought.
I knew I said it's in a club. I can
Yeah.
tell
Yeah.
from the song. I was like, it was in a club. I just can't look.
No,
think of
I
the club scene.
specifically pulled an audible when I realized this movie came out Friday in 1995. So April 7th, 1995.
See, I knew there was an anniversary coming
So
up.
it was
That's-
that, and I saw that, and I was like, I'm gonna switch out what I was gonna do with this, and I thought, all right, I gotta make it hard enough that Harge doesn't get it right off the bat.
Yeah. Well, you did a good job.
You did a
because
great job.
Now that you bring it, now it's come full circle. I'm like, that was the fight scene in the bathroom.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. The gimme though.
And this is where
the softball.
Yeah, the softball. That's what we were waiting for.
Yeah. I'll admit. Yeah, I guess we both should have got it. I've seen that movie too many times
Oh
not
my
to have gotten it
goodness.
myself. So
It's part of our
I feel a little
it's part of my Hard Knocks life opening.
yeah. No, you definitely should have got it because you've stated how much you love the movie. You put it in your opening. So yeah, both of us.
That's why I could be
Embarrassed.
confident when you said, "Have I seen it?"
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
why.
I know you have.
And he said it
That's
quick
true.
too. Yeah.
And I'm surprised Specs Text Line didn't really get it
They
either.
didn't get it either.
Yeah, they didn't really get it either.
Yep.
So I'm surprised by that. Specs Text Line usually is a lot quicker than we are. All right, Specs Text Line 512-337-3776. Great job by my man Patrick, as always. The midweek movie music edition of Ball Don't Lie, and the midweek movie music comes from Bad Boys, the original. And they're coming out with another one of these
They
things?
are.
I thought I saw
One
that
more.
somewhere.
One more.
Wow.
One more. And I'm all in.
I like them. Yeah.
I'm all in.
I mean, I like them. They're not getting
Yeah.
better. They're not getting worse, but they're not getting better.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. okay.
Exactly.
All right.
They're not getting worse. They're
Kind
not-
of like John Wick.
Nope, I
No, I'm
disagree.
just kidding. I'm just kidding. Because I've
I'm
been
not
watching the
disagreeing
newer
because I
ones.
think John Wick is just is way better
Yeah.
film franchise than Bad Boys. Not saying that at all. What I'm saying is I haven't seen the last one. I've seen all the Bad Boys. The latest reviews about John Wick is that it's better than the original and that better than the previous John Wicks. But if it's not, then you're right. It is just like John Wick, where they're all the same.
Yeah.
It's not a drop off, but it's definitely not better than the last one.
Right.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
And I will be front center when it comes out.
Exactly.
Yep.
You're going to see it at the movies.
I will see it at the movies.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm Bad Boys at the movies. I mean, that's why you should have gotten this.
That's
Because you're a Bad Boys at the
I am.
movies kind of guy.
Multiple times.
I'm a Bad Boy stream it when it first hit the streaming platform.
Bad Boys. Hey, I'll get to that when I get some time.
That's kind of, but no, I'm looking forward to it. But I'm like,
Yeah.
as soon as it hits the streaming platform, I'm like, oh, I'm doing this weekend. My weekend is made because
Yeah.
Bad Boys is finally available. So I do look forward to it. And we got post slap Will Smith.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that's
yeah.
also I've been watching all the post slap Will Smith stuff.
If the line "keep so and so out of your mouth" is not in this movie anywhere, they missed it.
Come on. You know what? No, he wouldn't do it.
I know.
I
Hey,
was-
Martin would. Martin would.
I'll say Martin would. They too close.
Martin would do it.
They too close to each other. They wouldn't. They wouldn't
Martin
do it.
been butt naked in the middle of a street.
Okay, I
He
know,
would do
but
it.
I don't think because Will doesn't want to be the villain on this thing. He doesn't. You can tell.
Yeah.
He wants to kind of forget about
That's a
it.
good
He
point.
doesn't want to be the villain on it. He could just decide, 'cause he's acting again, so he could just do it.
Yeah.
And he was in. I think the last was it. What was it? Emancipation.
Emancipation.
Emancipation. I saw that. I want to see all the Will Smith post slap movies because I want to see if he's a better actor post slap than pre slap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be a better actor post slap.
Yeah, because he's
got
going to
more.
get really into his character.
He's got more depth.
Yeah, he's going to get really into
You know what I
it.
mean?
Even more so.
Yeah, when you go into get into acting and they want to get really into their roles like
Yeah.
that, I'm telling you, it helps to have some tragedy to fall back on, and now he can kind of fall back on being the villain. He's always been beloved most of his
I like it.
life.
I like it.
Now he's used to being, now not used to it, but now he's got a kind of a new. Yeah, he got a new leaf, if you will, as an actor because he is vilified for the first time in his life.
I like it.
So we'll see. Anyway, random conversation
He
there.
is definitely vilified.
He's vilified now. Like
Yeah.
he was. When was the last time Will Smith was hated or disliked? He's always been beloved.
When he was the Will Smith in Fresh Prince. When he was the Fresh Prince. That's when I hated him.
Well, that's when you hated him. That's different. That's how everybody else does it. When you hated him. I just liked him when gangster rap got popular. And I was like, I'm not listening to that PG-13 rap.
Never listen to
about
that.
Yeah, I'm not listening to that.
My parents don't understand. I don't care.
But yeah, I give Will Smith some props. So he did make the transformation. We'll talk about some more off the record stuff a little bit later on in Off the Record. What you got coming up for the people on Hard Knock Life?
I'm going to talk about the documentary I watched last night about Reggie Jackson. It was a lot deeper and a lot better than what I thought it was going to be.
Speaking of streaming platforms.
Yeah, there you go.
Where'd you
Amazon.
watch it on? Amazon? There you go.
Amazon Prime.
Amazon
Prime.
Amazon Prime. All right, so we'll talk about that coming up in Hard Knock Life. Let's get to these some Longhorn-related stories. Got a couple of stories I want to hit here. So Ian Rappaport threw this out there. There's good news for DeMarvion Overshown. Also, I saw was it Bucky Brooks? Did you see that? Bucky Brooks had something to say about DeMarvion Overshown too. That was positive. Positive. And he was on. He was on like a podcast or a show, and they were talking about the draft and talking about defensive prospects. But anyway, I digress. Getting to it, Ian Rappaport at Rap Sheet, he said, quote, more visits. And he pointed out on his more visits tweet, Texas linebacker DeMarvion Overshown visited the Cowboys yesterday and has the Dolphins, Texans, Falcons, Cardinals, and Broncos as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, DeMarvion Overshown, I think, is a pretty popular prospect because I think a lot of NFL teams now want to invest in some form of positionless football. They're not going to go all in, they're going to major in it. But having certain players like DeMarvion Overshown who do have that hybrid skill set, it's a guy that moved from safety to linebacker, and he can run sideline to sideline, and he's only been playing linebacker for about 3 years.
And was hesitant to be the linebacker.
It's a good point. So now he's been a willing linebacker for 2 years.
Yes.
That's a great point. Yep. So I think he's got a lot of upside, too, because I don't think that's a good point. He hasn't been a willing linebacker for that long, and now that he's fully invested in being a linebacker, I think there's a lot of potential meat on that bone for a guy like DeMarvion Overshown. I don't know if he's going to start immediately for a year and be that kind of guy, but he's a project for a lot of teams, but I think a project that could pay huge dividends in year 2 or 3 for an NFL team because he's got tremendous upside.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. I think you always talk about positionless football, and a lot of people don't want to say that word, but you make sure you get it out there. But the beautiful thing about it is his versatility. I mean, the guy can run sideline to sideline. He was a natural safety at one point when he was one of the top recruits to come to the University of Texas. Then he put on the weight to become that linebacker. And I think just his ability to move freely is going to be his biggest asset. When he first got moved to the linebacker position, I kept thinking of Cam Chancellor. That's who I kept thinking about. I was like, Cam Chancellor. Even though Cam Chancellor was a lot bigger.
He was bigger.
And a little bit more physical,
I don't know if he was taller, but he was thicker. He was bulkier.
But I kept looking at DeMarvion Overshown and saying, this could be you. That should be the selling point. And I believe, I was going to call him David Ash, Chris Ash. I believe he was the one that was talking to him about that and kind of leaning on him and saying, dude, this could be your position. This could be who you can become because you have those freakish abilities. And that is what I was looking at. And now with the emergence of what he was able to do and being able to be on the field all 4 downs is a big thing in the NFL.
Honestly, man, you might be closer to it. It says here, looking at Cam Chancellor, just looking at Wikipedia, 6'3", 225.
Yeah.
And he made a play between 230, but DeMarvion Overshown is right around there.
He is.
He's right around there, so I didn't realize he was that close to it. Yeah, that's a nice little comp, though. I like that because the NFL is moving to a pace and space league. Yes, there can be teams that take advantage of his inability to take on blocks or his lack of technique when having to take on a block, but still, I think for the most part in a pace and space league, he's going to have more reps where he's at an advantage rather than a disadvantage.
Yep.
And disadvantage, he'd be a team that wants to play bully ball against DeMarvion Overshown. Then maybe they can, I think he can improve on being a run defender as well. He actually did this past season, but his strength is going to be in pass coverage. Yeah. And that's what Hart is talking about, never having to leave the field, which means all you got to do is turn him into a serviceable run defender.
Right.
Turn to us, or put some war daddies in front of them, some big, nasty D tackles in front of them, like Texas had this past year, and then you'll get the best version of DeMarvion Overshown too.
Right.
So I see the upside. I'm hoping. I know it sounds crazy. I'm hoping the Cowboys actually see the upside because Dan Quinn likes him.
Yes.
Dan Quinn has visited with DeMarvion Overshown multiple times, and even Ian Rappaport admits here they got another visit with the Cowboys. And Dan Quinn, nobody specializes and majors in positionless football on defense like Dan Quinn. He's been brilliant with it, and even going back to his time in Atlanta, he was experimenting with it around 2019 with Devondre Campbell, but now with Michael Parsons, with Jaron Kearse and Donovan Wilson, those three safety packages. Nobody runs more three safety personnel, big nickel, and big dime than Dan Quinn. So a lot of hybrid defenders. Hell, at one time you had Keanu Neal on there. Makuyamu also kind of fits in that hybrid mode. And they'll draft another guy like that because Sam Williams is kind of a hybrid guy too. They'll draft another guy like that in this draft on defense. It's just a Dan Quinn, really kind of a theme, if you will. It's part of his ideology as a defensive coordinator now, and I love it, by the way. And DeMarvion Overshown fits it to a T.
He does.
To a capital T.
But will Jerry bite that bullet and draft a Longhorn?
You know what? I said this before. I think all the Longhorns this year, I don't say this every year. I haven't said it ever, actually. All the draftable prospects fit the Cowboys' needs.
Yeah.
They all do. The Cowboys could use, it broke down to Marvin Overshown. They definitely could use a Bijan. Matter of fact, all of the odds makers and all of the draft simulators have the Cowboys taking Bijan Robinson. I don't know if they're going to take him, but at least they agree it's a good fit. Rojo, if you skip Bijan, you want to get a good running back in the fourth round that could potentially be a starter for you? Rojo also fits. Keandre Coburn fits because they just signed Jonathan Hankins, who basically does the same job as the plunger.
Yeah.
Talk about with Keandre Coburn. Every team could use a Coburn, so they definitely could use a Coburn, one of those wide body run stuff and D tackles. And who am I missing?
Overshown.
I just broke down Overshown.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But after the four,
yeah, sorry, thank you.
Ojimo.
Ojimo actually. Ojimo. They could use Ojimo too. A pass rushing, penetrating D tackle who is a hybrid.
He is.
Plays inside and plays outside.
He can do both. That's
there you
right.
go. So they all fit the Cowboys. They do. They could take any of those guys, and I would not be surprised.
Yeah, I think Overshown, we've definitely seen they're at least in what the insiders are getting word of that he's moving up boards, because we saw across stations and platforms more and more people started talking about him early this week.
That's true. You're right.
And you just kind of saw it, and I saw Ryan Clark put up a thing that the Cowboys needed to get him, and Louis Riddick said that the Texans needed to get him, and like all these people are saying, you need to go get this guy. So clearly he's raising up draft boards right now, which means he's probably going to get in that second round now. He could easily slide in that second round. He's looking around third, but it seems like he's going to go day 2.
So a lot of buzz. A good point.
Yeah.
You're right about that buzz. He's got to get Lamar Jackson. He's got an agent working for him.
Yep.
It's pretty obvious, and he's working real hard now because he's got it. You're right. I mean, I've been hearing his name a lot, just coming up.
Yeah, like we didn't hear much about it for a while. It was like Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
He did well, and then it died back off. Combine, he did okay, but nothing that really set him out among. He wasn't one of those guys that got set apart at the Combine. And then in the last week, his name has come up across a lot of platforms as all of a sudden now a name that people need to pay attention to.
Yeah, that's a great point because I've heard it on multiple platforms. I'm like, man, what's it? And obviously here's another one coming up again. So whoever his agent is working real hard.
Working real hard.
Working. That's why you have one.
That's
Lamar.
right.
Come on.
Come on, man.
Come on, Lamar.
Come on, Lamar.
We got Lamar Jackson news actually coming up a little bit later on, but let's get back to Texas football conversation. So there's a great article that I was reading over at Hook'em Headlines about 4 players winning position battles this spring for Texas. I want to get into it because these are names that have come up consistently for Texas all off season, and I think it's a good thing that you're hearing so many. I'm not going to say names that we had given up on, but names that seem like they're a surprise to hear as guys who are contending for spots. Keaton Crawford is probably the top name that has been the biggest surprise this year in the offseason. Like, his name has come up unsolicited by Steve Sarkisian. It has come up from multiple insiders at multiple sites about a guy who's making plays in the offseason consistently. And it was from the start, even now. Even most recently, you're still hearing his name come up. Sark said he blocked a kick, something like that the other day. So he's one of those guys, too, that I don't know what role they're going to have for him during the season. I'm sure that's something that will be solidified later. But there's no question he has now provided this team with depth at that safety position. Because now you got 3 guys who potentially you could look at as starters for you as a safety position. If Keaton Crawford's having that kind of offseason, which –
putting a lot of pressure on people, right?
Yeah, well, the starter's going to be Jaron Thompson and Jalen Catalon when he comes back. But knock on wood, Jalen Catalon's got an injury history. So you're going to need 3 starting safeties.
Definitely need it, yeah.
And if he's one, that's Keaton Crawford's doing the damn thing. And by the way, it makes sense because the ball, really the ball that he's played now on defense, because I think in high school he was an offensive player, but he switched from cornerback to safety, and this is his 4th year, I believe.
Yeah.
And that makes perfect sense that now, same system, now playing the same position, not having to switch positions or switch sides of the ball, that he's finally getting a comfort, and now that his football acumen and IQ are starting to catch up with his skill set. And he's a high-level athlete, one of the fastest guys on the team, too.
And we had the conversation with Bijan. Bijan was the first one to throw his name out there about his speed.
That's very true.
He said if I had a track team, he was going to be on it.
He'd be that dude.
Yeah.
So that's paying huge dividends for him. But other guys on this list, David Bender's the first guy that appeared on this list. And Hartz is another guy. Been hearing about him all offseason. And I'm not going to lie, I don't have faith that David Bender's going to win the starting job opposite Jalen Ford. But exactly. But if he does, that would be a tremendous benefit to the overall depth on defense. Because then you could be talking about those younger guys, not having to be thrown into the fire so early and giving those young guys some time to develop, they have a higher ceiling, of course, than a guy like David Bender. But David Bender's played a lot of football. I mean, he's talking about another senior.
Yeah, super senior. I don't know if he's super.
Well,
he's been around.
That.
He's been around for a minute,
like that.
And he's been on both sides of the football.
You're right about that.
He's done offense, he's done defense, but him being able to go out there, and again, I brought this up a little bit yesterday, but when you have the mindset of listening to the same coach's instructions, the game plan, and have a better grasp of it because you're not trying to learn something new. You're trying to enhance what you already know. And that is what I think a lot of these young or older players now who have been in the system, have gone through the ups and downs, have been taught by the other players about how to play that position, going in, spending more time on film, just doing those little things to put yourself there, because we can tell you everything, right? We can tell you this is what we expect. This is how it needs to be done. But if you don't go in and put the work into it and you go and research and do the things, see yourself on film to correct some of the stuff, that's the biggest difference to me. If you can do it that way, everything else will take care of itself.
Yeah, I think when you're building a defense, when you're building an offense too, if I was an offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator, my goal would be just how do I get my best 11 players on the field more oftentimes than not? Like, how can I keep those guys on the field with the most frequency? That would be how I start building the identity of my offense or defense. And I think for Texas this year, like I said, if David Bender shows up and he's the man, if he's your guy, then great. But your strengths right now are your interior D-line and your interior D-line and your secondary right now. Looks like you got a lot of depth there in your secondary.
A lot of depth there.
Right? You're Jahdae Barron, you're Ryan Watts. Now they're talking about Gavin Holmes and Terrence Brooks competing for that cornerback spot out there. You might have 3 starting safeties. I wonder, they never played a lot of dime last year, which is 6 DBs. I do wonder if you'll see more, because you got depth there. Just building the defense on where you have the depth. A dime package with 4 defensive linemen in that package with Jalen Ford.
Right.
And a safety that can play in the box, some physical safeties that can play in the box. I'm not saying for every down, but just those those second and mediums or those second and shorts, third and mediums, third and long. I mean, those might be packages that could really help you in more predictable situations.
No doubt about it. And I think you hit the nail on the head. You at least have to try it. If everybody's if everybody's improving this much and you want to get guys on the field that can make plays, the one thing that you cannot teach is speed. And if you have speed on the field, it decreases a lot of issues that you might have. Yeah, they definitely need to go in there and make sure they know how to tackle. I get that. They got to come in and smash, like Kenny said, smash some face.
Smash some face.
But at least you have them cutting down those angles, and the pursuit is going to be totally different. We saw that last year. The pursuit on the defense was totally different than years before, where everybody was getting to the football. So we can say we saw the improvement in that area for sure.
Another guy that's come up that's also in this article, Ethan Burke. He makes this list. Mo Blackwell, going back to that linebacker spot opposite Jalen Ford. That's another guy that's been playing really well. And A.D. Mitchell, also on this list. I think the wide receiver is also going to be a deep position. We've talked about that too. And A.D. Mitchell, he can be a great insurance policy with those wide receivers if Isaiah Nayor doesn't come back 100% or he's not ready to go, or if you have, knock on wood, some regression like you had last year from one of the wide receivers. But we know now that was because of an injury. So, all right, let's get to your Hard Knock Life. What you got for the people?
We're going to talk a little bit about Reggie Jackson, his past, and what he's done since he's got out of the limelight, so to speak. And I think my man Patrick is excited about that as well.
All right, we'll get into that, break it down a little bit. A little movie review by my man Harge coming up next right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Everybody can't coach at Texas. Everybody can't play at Texas. And everybody can't do what Apple Leasing does because they have the ability to put you in any make or model vehicle that you want. They can help you get the price you want, the payment you want on the car that you want. We all know that time is money. And my friends at Apple Leasing, they're going to save you both. Going to save you time, going to save you money, and also find you great value. And all you got to do is just give them a call, one phone call, or go click on their website, appleleasing.com, and you'll get a quote on any make or model vehicle that you want. They can even give you an estimate on the value of your trade-in right over the phone. Like I said, all it takes is one phone call. Go give them a call, 512-346-9977, or visit appleleasing.com. They have what they call a simple interest, easy lease, and it's going to give you a lot more flexibility and possibilities and options to help you find the vehicle that fits you best, but more importantly, the vehicle that fits your budget best, because inflation is affecting everybody and everything. It's never been more expensive to buy a new car, buy a used car, or buy anything for that matter. So actually, leasing makes more sense than ever. You're only paying for the part of the car you're actually using. So what are you waiting for? Call Apple Leasing today at 512-346-9977 and let them see how much money they can save you. They get all the same discounts and all the same incentives that the dealers do, except my friends at Apple Leasing, they pass those savings on to you, the customer, and that's why they've been doing business here in Austin for almost 4 decades. That's right, because they've been doing it the right way. Give them a call, 512-346-9977, or visit appleleasing.com. That's appleleasing.com.
Welcome back to Midweek Movie Music Theme edition of Ball Don't Lie. And the theme was Bad Boys. You just heard it. Mike, you are dealing with some emotional issues. One of my favorite parts of the movie. My man Patrick got us stumped early, but we figured it out in the 4 o'clock hour. It's your boy Hardball Hard. You can follow me on Twitter at Hardball Hard. You can follow my man Rob Babers at Rob Babers. And, of course, the man behind the glass that's twisting it up every single day and keeping us on our toes at It's Patrick Davis. You can also be a part of the show. Hit us up on the Specs text line, 512-337-3776. And I wanted to get into this documentary that I got a chance to watch. For those that are baseball fans and have been around the game for quite some time, and those that aren't baseball fans but are kind of novice when it comes to the game, you sit there and you remember the name Reggie Jackson. If you haven't paid attention to it, he is the original Mr. October. Derek Jeter ended up being Mr. November because the season started getting a little bit longer, but he was one of the most, I would say, either popular and controversial players in the baseball game in the early years.
No question.
And it's funny to me because I've been around Reggie Jackson before. He told one of my good friends, Cliff Floyd. Cliff Floyd had this bat, and it was a C271, one of the thinner bats, more of a second base. Ken Griffey Jr. swung a C271. A-Rod swung a C271. And Cliff was trying to swing a C271, but Cliff was like 6'4", 6'5", like 230, and he had this bat, and Reggie walked up to him and was like, "What you gonna do? Pick your teeth with that thing? You need to get a grown man back."
Got a medium out there, man.
Exactly, because Reggie was swinging some big lumber back in the day, some heavy lumber back in the day. But when I saw this documentary come across my screen, I was like, you know what? I got to watch that, because if Reggie Jackson is doing something, because Reggie tries to stay out of the way. You don't hear much from Reggie unless some people come directly to him to talk. He's not going out of his way to have these conversations.
Yep.
And I thought it was interesting because when you hear Reggie Jackson speak in a lot of these interviews, if you get this opportunity to watch this, he's very articulate. He's very direct. He is no nonsense. He's not giving you fluff. He is letting you know exactly where you stand and where he stands and where he sees himself. He said, he basically told you, I'm not going to apologize for being good. And I'm definitely going to do what I do because I can do what I do.
Swag.
So he definitely was one of those guys. And when he would hit home runs, he would drop the bat immediately. I mean, he would just flip it. And it was so awesome to watch him play. And
That's
he
when
had
nobody was flipping.
Right. And he had that jog. And he had that jog when he was running the bases. And he meant business all about it.
And you better not try to throw some retaliation at
No,
him.
you didn't want none of them hands because he was that dude.
He's trying to throw at you too, man.
And it's funny that you say that, Rob, because he was a football player first.
That makes sense.
He was a football
I ain't with
player,
that
and he was
nonsense.
being recruited by everybody. He had Alabama, Georgia, and Oklahoma. All were trying to get Reggie Jackson to be a part of their squad.
That makes sense.
And it's a real, I'm going to say it's not as heartwarming as Facing Nolan. Like the Facing Nolan was more about Nolan Ryan's wife, Ruth. About
Just
how
started
she
from a
kept
sentimental
right.
perspective.
There was definitely a lot of sentimental value in Facing Nolan. There's no sentimental value in this. It's raw. It's uncut.
I like that.
It is to the point of the time that he was drafted, going to Birmingham, Alabama, where he didn't want to be because of the riots that had happening, the bombings in Birmingham. It was a tough time for Reggie Jackson and the players that were with him. Some of his friends were Raleigh Fingers was there with him, and it takes you to a dark period of the Black African American athlete and what they were having to go through. We all know the story of Jackie Robinson and what he went through in the very beginning of the Color Bear. Well, it was still happening even once he got there, and it seemed even more intense during that time. And he was very standoffish when it came to certain things. And, the media, imagine that, media had a lot of roles in some of the things that was being written about Reggie without people actually getting to know Reggie. And his biggest battle came from within his own locker room and with Billy Martin. His biggest battles were against his manager because his manager didn't like him and didn't. It was one of those I didn't want him on my team type of deal. Jeff Fisher-esque, if you will.
A great player. I just didn't want him on my team.
I didn't want him on my team because of the way he carried himself and the way he was about it. He had flash and he didn't think he was worth all the money, and he was like, I'm worth all the money.
Yeah.
And he was on a team with Vida Blue and Charlie Finley, who was the owner of the Oakland A's at the time. And if you know anything about Charlie Finley, he was a very cheap owner. And he didn't feel like players should be making this amount of money and doing all these different things. And Reggie was trying to buck the system, but Vida Blue tried to buck the system before that, because he put up great numbers. He was a leader. He was an ERA leader. He won the Cy Young, and he was an AL MVP. He was a 3-time World Series champion. And he was trying to get more money, and the dude was like, nah, matter of fact, I want you to take a pay cut. Even with those great numbers. And that's where
disrespect
was happening. And that's when Curt Flood started going after and saying that everybody needs to be able to be a free agent at those times. But the Reggie Jackson story about who he is and where he came from and his father and his mother and the divorce and how he went to live with his dad, and his dad was a former Negro League player.
Oh, that's interesting.
But he wasn't making any money, so he was a tailor as well. And he got arrested as a bootlegger because he was trying to make money.
Man.
You know what I'm saying? So there were so many different things. And so when you look at Reggie and the standoffishness and the way he was about certain things, it wasn't because of he didn't want to like people. He just saw where people treated him, and he wanted to make sure that nobody treated him like that. So it was a very, very interesting, hard story to watch just because of the game itself, because of the things that he went through. Obviously, Hank Aaron was in there, and he was a big influence in Reggie's life, and they got a chance. Hank was still in this documentary, and they got a chance to talk. And Reggie truly didn't want to make the documentary. He did not want to do it. But he felt it was at that time in his life that he needed to truly tell his story.
Agreed.
About what's going on and what he saw during that time. And he even brought it back to today. He was like, we're still having to go through some of the same things today as I went through and Hank Aaron went through with the hate mail and all these different things that were going on. Joe DiMaggio was his hitting coach at one time, and Joe DiMaggio loved him. Joe loved him. You know what I'm saying? So it's amazing. Dr. J was one of his best friends, so they leaned on each other a lot and talked to him. Dr. J said flat out, I ain't even like baseball. I liked Reggie Jackson, though. So I would watch the game because of Reggie Jackson.
He played with that kind of flair and swag.
That swag. And he carried himself at a very, very high level. So if I were you and you wanted to do some archive and really know the history of Reggie Jackson, and I'm telling you, the arguments that he had with Billy Martin are legendary.
I bet.
Are legendary. And all Reggie wanted to do was go out there and play ball and do his thing and be able to be liked in his own clubhouse. And there were times where he wasn't even liked in his own clubhouse. So do yourself a favor, take the time, look at Amazon Prime, watch this documentary. It's about 108 minutes. It's well worth it. Well worth it. Now Reggie's working for the Houston Astros.
Go Astros!
There you go. He's working in the front office with the Astros and doing a great job there. Today they gave Miguel Cabrera a big old bottle of champagne, like one of the biggest bottles I've ever seen of champagne, and they gave him a cowboy hat, and Reggie was out there with them with the presentation because of what Miguel Cabrera has meant to the baseball world. So
Wow.
Miggy's retiring this year, but Reggie Jackson, it's called Reggie. It's on Amazon Prime, and do yourself a favor and take the time to watch that.
Yeah, Texas said they wore 44 because of Reggie.
Yep.
Yeah, he was. I mean, there's certain all-time great athletes who they played the game with such a flair and with almost with a kind of dramatic appeal.
Exactly.
And he was one of those guys. He's an entertainer. And I'm with you on that. I can understand during that time. Hell, even some of the stuff he did during this time would be considered a little bit salacious and polarizing back then. Oh, especially. I mean, he was he was a pioneer in a lot of respects.
Yeah.
But yeah, his swag is
my goodness.
It's infamous. I mean, it's
oh my goodness.
Everybody, it's iconic.
Yeah,
His swag
it is. It definitely
Reggie
is.
Jackson. That's
Yeah.
the good stuff. All right, I might check that out this weekend. I'm gonna do some appointment watching this weekend. All right, we come back. We got a couple of off-the-record stories we got to get to. Man, if this Larsa Pippen story is true, this woman needs to be stopped. Somebody needs to step in, and they need to stop this intervention. I don't care. By force, something needs to stop this. We'll get into that. Also, Stormy Daniels, she might be the happiest person after hearing about President Trump's indictment. We'll explain that on the other side. Right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn.
Mike Harge here, and I want to talk to you about my friends over at Quick Roofing. How often do you think about your roof? Probably not enough. We've had some bad weather come through here just recently, and I know that we need to make sure that all these roofs are protected. Do yourself a favor and go to quickroofing.com today. Quickroofing.com, they can come out and do a free, no obligation inspection to make sure that you don't have any shingles that might be missing. There's a lot of times you don't even know some of the stuff that happens to your roof. And if you have somebody come by and do that inspection, you might be okay. Go to quickroofing.com today, get a free, no obligation inspection. You go to quickroofing.com and they will come out and make sure that everything is okay. Do yourself a favor. Go to quickroofing.com.
All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Okay, so President Trump obviously is dealing with some serious charges, 34 felony criminal charges. He has pled not guilty, of course, to those, and that has been big topic of the conversation. Prosecutors alleging that President Trump sought to undermine the 2016 election through hush money scheme with payouts and made to women who claimed they had extramarital affairs. That's the part that's really, really salacious. And one of the women that has been alleged to be one of these women that President Trump paid off is Stormy Daniels, the porn star, the adult film star. She probably would rather me say than porn star. She has a lot of her work on the adult website Pornhub. I don't know if you guys are familiar. But a lot of her work is up there. So a lot of people who are unfamiliar with Stormy Daniels were paying attention to obviously the indictment and all of the headlines from yesterday having to do with President Trump. So apparently her searches on Pornhub increased more than 650,000 searches on Tuesday. And apparently the average for her for the first 3 months of the year, her average worked out basically that ended up being a 32,000% increase in the normal Stormy Daniels searches on that particular adult website. I'm sure on other adult websites, maybe it was the same thing. I guess a lot of people did not know. They weren't familiar with her work. And they wanted to go see why she was so famous. And then they figured it out. There you go.
Hey, now.
He said diving deeper into the numbers by 1 p.m. Eastern, as people were waiting for President Trump's motorcade to arrive at the Manhattan Criminal Court. The adult website Pornhub says Stormy searches were 6 times their normal level, which obviously during the middle of the day, I'm hoping people are not just going to that adult website in the middle of the day. Maybe they are. I figure they got better things to do, but I think they were just curious, like, oh, who is this lady? And then they, even at work, where
Not safe.
you're not supposed to be searching for that kind of stuff at work, people.
Not safe.
Not at all. Not at all. So there you go. That's a salacious story there. Here's another salacious story, and that's why this lady, Larsa Pippen, like I said, she's got to be stopped. Now, I have actually watched her. She's on the Real Housewives of Miami, and my wife watches some of that stuff. And I remember we talked about her recently when she was on the Real Housewives of Miami, and she claimed that on the reunion, she claimed that her and Scottie Pippen, every day they were married, they had sex. Did she say 4 times?
It was
4
4
times.
times.
4 times every day, even when he was
Every night.
every night, day, whatever. I mean, that 24-hour period,
They were
had sex.
traveling together.
Yes, they traveling.
Yep.
I'm sure they had sex during the day too. They can't have sex.
Yeah,
4
that's
times
why
a
that
day.
night threw me
nighttime.
off, 'cause I was
The
like,
night-
that's
it's a short
specific.
time period. you gotta get a little afternoon delight in there too.
Oh,
A
was
little-
the sundown? Yeah, we got to get started.
yeah, you gotta get some wake and bacon up in that. You know what I'm saying? In that too. Anyway, but she claimed 4 times a day, and people have tried to refute that, but she's standing strong. She's like, no, we did it 4 times a day, and I guess Scotty feels really good about himself right now because that's a hell of a compliment for Scotty. Good for you, Scotty. And that was without the blue chew, Harge.
Man, that is amazing.
So here's another story. This is just for rumor because remember she's dating Michael Jordan's son now,
Yeah.
Marcus Jordan.
Marcus.
Grown. Great boomerang reference. Full circle
There
for
you
those
go.
who haven't been listening. A little Eartha Kitt there for you.
That's
well
right.
done. Okay, so apparently this is a story that's out there. Black Sports Online had it out there, but it's making the rounds. So apparently Larsa Pippen has been out here the last few years. She's been kind of wild, but Media Takeout just spoke with a producer from Larsa's hit TV series, The Real Housewives of Miami, and she told them something that, at least rumored to have told them something that's crazy. According to the producer, Larsa has been telling folks behind the scenes that she is planning on marrying Michael Jordan's son, Marcus. And it gets better.
This is great.
According to this Media Takeout story, oh, Harge, this is good, man. I'm glad you sent this to the crew. Larsa said that when they get married, she's going to hyphenate her name so that she'll be Larsa Pippen Jordan.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
There you go.
What you say now?
Come on, guys.
Come
You got to
on.
give it up for this woman. You talking about the long game.
She is a
She is
gamer.
playing the long game.
Did Tony Kukoc got any kids?
Somebody find Dennis Rodman. What is it? For real.
Oh my goodness.
She want the whole crew.
She want everybody in there.
Wow. That's unbelievable, guys.
She want everybody.
Yeah, if the
Larsa,
Golden State
Pippen,
Warriors
Jordan.
start getting coached bad, we know Steve Kerr's been involved.
Oh, that is wow. That would be the ultimate stunt right there.
Yeah.
I mean, what do we do? I don't even know what we do
You
about
just
that.
roll with it. Down stuff now. Roll.
Michael
with
Jordan
it.
would put the kibosh on this. Michael Jordan wouldn't let this happen.
He has to, right?
No, he wouldn't let
I've
this
never
happen.
seen anybody. I don't know how many people I know have hyphenated their last name with a name that wasn't theirs. Like, so a name by marriage with another name by marriage.
That's a good point. I don't
Because normally the
not sure
hyphen
how
is
often it
your
happens.
family name with the new family name. I don't know how many hyphenate it with two marriages. I just don't know. Maybe that's a thing now. I feel like normally the man would be like, hey, so you're taking my name. Could you get rid of the other man's name?
Yeah, she's breaking a lot of rules though, and
She is.
I mean, just
A lot of them.
dating the son of forward teammates is a little violation of the G code right there. But
Dating someone you've probably known since they were a child. Also
At
not
the
great.
birth. At the birth.
oh,
At the birth. Think about that.
There's a lot of things wrong with this story.
yeah, that's why I said the hyphenated name. That's the least of the creepy things that's going on here. But I will admit, if I'm Michael Jordan, I can't let this happen I can't let the Jordan name be associated with this.
Yeah.
I mean, he lets it be associated with the Hornets.
Oh, the bow. I like that. Well
You want to
done.
rumble with the bee, huh?
No, I like that, but he can't let this happen. He say, man, you can date her, but you can't, we can't make it official.
She cannot get my name.
Yeah,
bruh.
we can't have the Jordan name officially
You
on
can
it.
take Pippen's name, son. You ain't done nothing.
Seriously,
That's good.
Yeah, that's how
That's
you
good.
own them. Yeah, she wants to keep it anyway, and
Yeah.
that's how you do it.
Stay hype with that.
Wow. There you go. All right, some salacious gossip for you on Off the Record. All right, we come back. We'll get into NFL news, notes, and nuggets. Bryce Young scores a really high score on a cognition test that apparently may vault him up to the top quarterback in the draft. Mac Jones on the trade block. Should the Cowboys trade for Cedric Wilson? Aaron Rodgers to the 49ers? And yes, the Ravens have admitted that a first-round quarterback is indeed in consideration for them this year. We'll talk about all that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a midweek movie music edition of Ball Don't Lie. That's when we play jams from a certain soundtrack. My man Patrick takes songs from a soundtrack, plays those selections for us for midweek movie music, and based on the songs, we're supposed to gather clues and hints that lead us to the feature film of midweek movie music. And my man Harge got it, even though actually you're supposed to get a little bit earlier. Because Harge, one of your favorite films, Bad Boys,
no doubt,
is the feature for midweek movie music. And they're making a Bad Boys 4.
They are.
Talked about that too. That is indeed happening. Shout out to my man CB who sent us the announcement. I believe it was Will Smith and my man Martin Lawrence making the announcement. And man, is Martin Lawrence older than Will Smith? Do we know this?
He's aging older.
He looks older.
Yes.
I was going to say that, and I was like, man. But I think maybe he's been through hard time. Remember, Martin Lawrence had a breakdown like a lot of comedians end up having in their life at one time. I think it's just hard to try to be the funniest person on the planet all the time. It's really tough. And he had a little bit of a breakdown at one time, too. So I think that's when Martin started to look a little bit older. Remember, Will Smith, this is the first time he's been a villain. He's been vilified after the slap at the Oscars. So post-slap Will Smith.
Oh, yeah.
Keeping up with that. But Bad Boys is your movie, the featured movie for midweek movie music. We'll get into NFL here. Lots of NFL discussion to get into and lots of NFL stories. So there are a ton of these. If we don't get to all of them, then I will finish up the rest of the stories that we don't get to, and Raj Ram the Day will continue our discussion with NFL news, notes, and nuggets. You can be a part of the show on the Specs text line 512-337-3776. You also can hit us up via Twitter. Harge is at Hardball Harge in the Twitterverse. My man Patrick Davis at It's Patrick Davis, and I'm at Rod Babers in the Twitterverse. All right, let's start with... You know what? Let's start with this Lamar Jackson story, actually, because it broke right when we were about to come on air. And I heard Chad talk about it briefly on Chad and Zay. We'll get to you the latest in the Lamar Jackson story. So this comes from Pro Football Talk. And it was Eric DeCosta, I'm assuming, talking to members of the Boston media, the general manager for the Baltimore Ravens. And he was asked about the draft and what their intentions are in the draft, and whether they were going to think about drafting a quarterback now that Lamar Jackson has made his intentions known and made it known that he would like the Baltimore Ravens to trade him, if at all possible, even though he does have the non-exclusive franchise tag on him, and you can technically trade for him now, but you'd also have to try to pay him the salary that he wants as well. But here's the quote from Pro Football Talk. When asked about whether they would pursue a quarterback with their first-round pick, Eric DeCosta, general manager of the Ravens, said, quote, "It depends on the board. It really does." He said, "I'd have to say yes, because we have quarterbacks in our top 31. So just based on that alone, simple math, I would have to say yes," end quote. And by the way, that's just smart as a general manager. You're a starting quarterback who you hope you can resolve the issue with, has stated publicly via Twitter that he wants a trade. He's requested a trade and demanded a trade, and there's a difference. He's requested a trade, so maybe there's still some hope, but he wants out, and you haven't been able to get this contract done, this extension done in the last 2 years while you've had time with your MVP caliber quarterback. And I don't know now if there's any way to reconcile this. I don't know. At least maybe at the irreparable state and when it comes to the relationship between Lamar Jackson and the Ravens front office. So, yeah, it makes perfect sense. It's common sense. You should draft the quarterback. I say teams should draft quarterbacks every year, every other year, but drafting them in the first round, that's a significant investment. But for the Ravens, it might be a necessary one. Just as an insurance policy.
Yeah, you have to do that because you start looking at their roster and who they have there. And, everybody's going to say that Tyler Huntley was an all-star. Yeah, he was an all-pro not an all-pro. He was an, Pro Bowler because everybody dropped out. So they had to have a quarterback that's there. You can't just sit there and say that this is your guy and you look to him to lead your team. You got Anthony Brown, another guy that was not – he was a free agent, I believe, when they got him. So you definitely need to be drafting a quarterback, especially to Rod's point. This seems to be over. I didn't want to believe that it was going to be over. I thought that there could be some reconciliation on their relationship, but it doesn't seem that way. And the disrespect of this situation has gone too far. And I understand he should have an agent. We all understand that, but he doesn't at this time. So he needs to be treated fairly and be compensated like everybody else at this position. You just gave Daniel Jones $40 million. You're going to tell me that he is not better than Daniel Jones? I mean, it's ridiculous. And then now I'm seeing that Jalen Hurts is supposed to be getting $50 million per season. They're working on a package for him for $50 million per season. I understand. You got to the Super Bowl.
No, you know who loves that news? Joe Burrow. Joey B's got to be like, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
50 million, please.
Come on. Run me my money.
Right? He's like, run it up, baby.
Yeah.
Him and Justin Herbert, they got to be like,
Yes.
yes, please run it up.
Right.
Because I'm better than that guy, or I'm just as good as that guy.
Thank you.
That kind of stuff. Yeah.
Thank you.
No, you're right. Listen, I agree with everything you said, except so one thing I'll disagree with you on, because I think you made a lot of valid points, great points. You brought up fair. And
Yeah, that's right. I know where you're going with this.
fair's got nothing to do with it. If you're teaching your kids that life is fair, you're doing them a disservice. It ain't fair. It ain't about what you deserve.
Yeah.
It's what you can negotiate, and that would help
Which
to
is
have
why
an
I say
agent
he
to help
should
you
have his agent.
negotiate
That's
that.
right.
So for Lamar Jackson, I agree with everything you said about that, but it ain't necessarily about what you deserve. It's what you can negotiate. And right now, he's losing that negotiation. It's fair. It's fair to say.
And also, I could believe that the Ravens, when he said he would negotiate, thought they could slip past him all the BS jargon of guarantees, where they go, well, this is virtually guaranteed, and this is mostly guaranteed, and this is 90%, or this is something to go guaranteed. And he looked at it and went, so if I get hurt game 2 of next season, they rip my leg off my body, I make $30 million, right? That's how much I make. And they go, yeah. He goes, so I'm not guaranteed at all. You just try, and they go, okay, we'll renegotiate. All right, you got now $120 million guaranteed. It's, no. I want you to, because the way you're calling the plays, call the plays, you're putting me in this position. And like the thing with Daniel Jones is Daniel Jones gets hurt, he makes a fraction of what that contract is.
Yep.
And Jalen Hurts, that's what it's going to come to sticking point. If they can get him for $50 million a year, and the last 2 years of it are not guaranteed really at all, then they'll sign that every day of the week.
Yep.
It's all about that guarantee down the stretch. And he wants, from what his reports to versus, is basically 4 years fully guaranteed, and then the 5th year is a bit more of an option. But he wants 4 years fully guaranteed, and the Ravens have never once even pretended that they're going to give close to that.
Yeah, like I said, it seems to me at one point the Ravens went from trying to negotiate a deal to playing hardball to straight up lowballing.
Yes.
To now actively sabotaging the
Correct.
whole damn thing. I think
Ding,
they started off.
ding.
I think they wanted to
Yes.
negotiate it initially, and then, like Hart said, it went left real quick because he was representing himself. So what was said in that, and at that table in that boardroom, whatever it was. It went left quickly.
Yeah.
Like we haven't seen something go this left with a contract negotiation with a quarterback in a really long time. And then I think the Ravens started thinking, all right, let's play some hardball. Let's try, which I think they did really well. They did great, such a great job that it seemed like they were lowballing them, which they were, based on the quarterback market and the precedent that had been set. And now I think it's gone so sour on both sides. We know that from Lamar's side anyway, that now they've gone from lowballing to actively sabotaging the whole damn thing. And it's possible they want out too.
Yeah.
Possible that both sides want out of this damn thing. But the court of public opinion may hold the Ravens front office accountable and be like, you let Lamar Jackson go. So now they have to make this seem like Lamar Jackson wanted out. And it does kind of seem like that now, but that he gave them no other choice.
Well, he did say, I asked for a trade on March the 2nd. He gave you the timeline of when this started. He said, I asked for a trade. And that's when they were like, okay, we'll see if we can trade. We can't get anything for you. The reason I want to go back to something that we said, I think it was 2 weeks ago. I'm thinking the agents have something to do with this too.
Well, that's something I said.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I said that I thought that, because these agents don't want players representing themselves, and of
At the prime position.
I believe it was 17 players in the NFL at the time that had represented themselves. None of them were quarterbacks. Quarterbacks represent themselves. That is big money.
Yes.
And agents now are probably a shadow figures working behind the scenes, also working against Lamar Jackson.
Yes.
Because they don't want him to win on this deal, because that makes agents look bad too. And I think that's a real possibility.
I think so too. And and when you brought that up, I hadn't looked at that angle of it, because I'm always looking at the management side of it and how they're trying to negotiate. But that to me stuck a lot better because of the fact that how is this not done? Right? And here's Harbaugh going to these meetings talking about, yeah, we've been operating really good. I don't think he's been at the meetings.
No.
I don't think he's been a part of it. And I wish he would have been, because he would have been like, guys, this is my quarterback. I didn't come back here to run a team that's not going to have a quarterback, our MVP quarterback that is going to help us get on a run here. Now you got me working with Tyler Huntley. And then you're going to tell me we're going to draft somebody now, possibly, that we're going to have to develop. I don't have that kind of time left.
Yep. I'm with you. I don't think Lamar Jackson's going to get the deal he wants. I think he may get out of Baltimore, and he may go to another team, but I don't think he's going to be the one that gets this fully guaranteed deal. Even if he goes to the team, this whole process here is about him essentially moving away from the fully guaranteed deal.
Yeah.
He's going to get a lot of guaranteed money. He may get the most guaranteed money ever. But that fully guaranteed deal, even the Colts owner who said, Jim Irsay said, I got no problem with giving him all the money. I got no problem with the money. He said, I'll pay the money.
Yep.
He said, I don't believe in fully guaranteed contracts. He was the first one to say the quiet part out loud.
Yeah.
He's only, and the owner's probably saying, dude, don't say that.
Don't
be saying that.
No.
Exactly. We don't need to say that. Just say, hey man, we're thinking about it. We're doing our due diligence. So I don't think he's gonna get it, guys. Joe Burrow's the guy. Joe Burrow's the next one to start looking at.
Yep.
If Joe Burrow wants a fully guaranteed deal, he'd be the next one to try to get it, but he's got a really cheap billionaire owner. And cheap billionaires don't like to give fully guaranteed deals.
So we know Joe Burrow's got to go through 2 franchise tags at least.
Yeah.
Before
Also true.
Before he even has a shot to play on the free agency market to get that fully guaranteed deal. So
unless they want to do it in negotiation with
So
him.
he's a month younger, I think, than Lamar Jackson right now. He's still got another year or 2 on his contract?
Yeah.
So we're talking about a 27, 28, 29-year-old quarterback by the time he gets there, if he can get there healthy. And that's I'm not sure that it's going to happen. Just because I think that the way it's set up with those franchise tags, they're just going to try and ruin him out. And they'll go, we would rather you break your leg and never play football again than us give you enough money or you go somewhere. And it's as terrible as that sounds, I think a lot of these franchises believe it because they'd rather not you play not against them than play at all. They go, just, we don't want you to play against us. We're not going to pay you. So either you decide to play for us for the amount of money we want to pay you, or we'd rather you not play in the league. We don't care about you. And I think there are some good owners. I don't think the Bengals have one.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
they do not. So, yes, only a few owners we know now that are even willing to even discuss it.
To have those discussions.
Yeah, about a guaranteed contract, and it's only happened twice. Kirk Cousins did it, and Deshaun Watson, and Lamar Jackson. It doesn't look like he's going to get that deal that he wants. And then after that, Joe Burrow's the next, but he's got a cheap owner. And then after that, I don't see anybody after that who would demand it. Who would the market, I should say, would put their value in that. Now, if Patrick Mahomes in his next negotiation wants to do it, he can do it.
Yeah.
He can do it. Now, if he wants to do it, he can do it. Yeah. But I don't even think he's going to do it. I don't think he operates that way either. He wants a big contract, but not necessarily one that's fully guaranteed.
And for everybody,
historical precedent.
And for everybody in the tech side that's saying that Baltimore that they realize that he's not worth it, then trade him. If you think you can win without him, then trade him. But they don't. They know they need him because their offense is not very good, and they don't want to spend any money on it, and they just want to have him. I'm with you. If they think that they don't need him, good, trade him. Get as many draft picks as you can, as many other players, and try and go win without him. That's fine. But don't play the woe is me franchise that we're trying to be fair with them, and then not being fair.
Not even close.
Well, and to bring it up,
no fairness.
Eric DeCosta and the Ravens, they have had some issues with multiple players now in negotiations, and guys have hinted that they don't like the way the Ravens do business, and this obviously is the most polarizing of it. But truth is, the Ravens they were cheap when it came to Lamar Jackson, and right now I'm not saying they're being cheap about the fully guaranteed deal. I get that fully guaranteed deal, that's a lot, but when Lamar Jackson was playing at an MVP level was the biggest force multiplier in all of the NFL, They spent the fewest salary cap dollars on offense in the 4 years under his rookie deal. Second fewest salary cap dollars spent at the wide receiver position during his 4 years on his rookie deal.
So he outperformed that rookie deal then, Rod, right?
They got no, yeah,
But
exactly.
they stole that time from him.
They got nobody to blame but themselves.
Exactly.
There in this situation. Yeah, I told they basically should
Be
have.
forward thinking. And you see it and you say, all right, this is our guy. He's going to be here. We need to go ahead and lock him up now. Like some of these other remember, we were talking about this, and I know baseball is totally different because they are a totally different place.
Mm-hmm.
But the Atlanta Braves locked up a lot of their young players early. And you're getting them at the top of their earning potential.
Yeah.
And you're putting them in the right spot, and they're happy to stay there. You're doing this, and now all the free agents, everybody keeps saying no free agent wanted to come and play with Lamar. That's not true. They weren't playing. They weren't going to pay for those type of players.
Well, I will say there were at least 2 wide receivers that took less money to go with their other teams, and the reports were the Ravens offered them more money, and they took less to go elsewhere.
They saw that offense.
So yeah,
Greg
whatever it was,
Roman
but
did
I'm
not
just saying,
throw the
like,
ball.
there were multiple reports that players did take less money to go to stay with their old team or go elsewhere and not go to the Ravens. But that still, the point being, the Ravens were cheap in terms of what they did on offense. All right, other quarterback news around the NFL. This Mac Jones story is interesting. So
It is very interesting.
okay, according to sources, Bill Belichick shopped Mac Jones to multiple teams during the 2023 offseason. The full list of potential destinations isn't known. The teams mentioned as potential destinations were the Raiders, Texans, Bucks, and the Commanders. It also points out that the Raiders are the ones, obviously because they were looking at Jimmy G, and they kind of ended that situation. But all these former Patriot coaches and assistants make sense with Josh McDaniels, makes sense with Nick Caserio in Houston. So I think some of these Mac Jones rumors probably have they probably have some substance to them. And how about this? It also says complicating the situation. Robert Kraft is a big fan of Mac Jones. He said that. He said, I'm a big fan of Mac. He came to us as a rookie. He quarterbacked in his rookie season, and he did a very fine job, I thought. And now the latest report is that Bill Belichick, the reason that he was shopping Mac Jones, because he was upset that Mac Jones was reportedly reaching out to Alabama coaches and seeking counsel about the Patriots' coaching instability. Remember the offensive coordinator situation for the Patriots, the offensive coordinator situation, or the quarterback coach situation for them was weird. They had Joe Judge and Matt Patricia, former defensive and special teams coaches, who ended up taking on that role. And then some people say even Bill Belichick had, he was contributing to some of the play calling. It was just weird and strange. And it was a failed experiment, no question. Now Bill O'Brien is the offensive coordinator there. Chris Sims explained on Pro Football Talk Live, Jones actually started calling members of the Alabama coaching staff in order to get some information as to how to properly run the offense under longtime defensive coach Matt Patricia. Quote from Tom Curran of NBC Sports Boston, that really pissed Bill off to the point where he started thinking about shopping Mac Jones. All right. What are your thoughts, gentlemen? Because maybe that puts them in the Lamar Jackson conversation or back in it.
They've been trying. Hey, they were looking at it.
Meek Mill tried to make it happen.
On it.
Come on, Meek Mill hit up Robert Kraft and said, "Hey, Lamar Jackson's interested."
I'm telling you right now, if I'm Mac Jones, I am calling Alabama. I'm talking. Bill O'Brien's probably the one who snitched on him because Bill was at Alabama, and that's how he found out about it because dude was trying. You had him working out with Joe Judge and Matt Patricia.
Crazy.
I would have been making phone calls to everybody. I would have called Drew Bledsoe, Steve Grogan, anybody that played for the Patriots that could have helped me out. And to Patrick's point, you look at Hoyer. Hoyer's out of there, and he's been the most loyal to Bill Belichick. Mm-hmm. This has been an awful experiment, and Bill, he messed this one up from the jump. When you don't have an offensive coordinator to work with your young quarterback. This isn't somebody that has been around the league for a long time that knows how to adjust. This isn't Aaron Rodgers. This isn't Tom Brady who pretty much run everything. This is Mac Jones.
Who?
Somebody that you decided you wanted to go and get. And then you put this young player in a position to where he's listening to a special teams coach and a defensive coordinator.
I really couldn't fit. I love me some Belichick. You guys know that, but that was a dang coaching mistake.
Awful.
That was coaching malpractice, is what it was. And I'll throw this out there real quick though too. You start looking at Bill Belichick didn't admit publicly that he made a mistake, but he did hire Bill O'Brien. So essentially, I think he is admitting that he screwed that up. That's the way he
tips his cap to you.
That is how he does it. But remember, why I always say Bill Belichick coaching tree sucks, because Bill Belichick is a very secretive, clandestine guy. He does not tell anybody, even his coaches. Remember Matt Patricia and Joe Judge during the offseason? They didn't know either. Yeah, yep. And people kept asking him, hey, do you know what your coach is? Like, man, we don't know. We don't. It's just like the CIA. The people who are working as agents, they have no idea why they're carrying out the task they're carrying out. They're just told that, hey, follow these damn orders. Yep. That's it. That's how Bill Belichick operates. He operates in a very clandestine fashion. Still to this day, we have no idea why Malcolm Butler didn't start in the Super Bowl.
Still to this day.
Even Malcolm Butler don't know. Tom Brady was asked about it 2 years ago and said, I have no idea.
They're looking around still at each other.
Matt Patricia was asked about it recently. He said, I still don't know. Nobody knows. Yep. And this is a guy, Belichick, that walks around, and I'm not making this up. This is real. He walks around with a physical playbook of plays that he has, siphoned and that he has gathered and collected over the years. Just kind of a amorphous playbook. This is the same guy that essentially was the architect of Spygate, and we know now it was way more intricate than they let up. So the point is, his coaching tree, it sucks because he doesn't share information. He's not one of those guys that likes to communicate. Bill Parcells' coaching tree, Andy Reid coaching tree, Bill Walsh coaching tree. Those guys wrote books. They were public speakers. They are very outgoing, very communicative guys. And their coaching tree is much better because you get to gather information from them. You don't gather information from Bill Belichick. He doesn't share with anybody. Yep. So getting back to that, that's also come back to bite him again. It hurts his coaching tree, but also it hurt him this time too because that very secretive nature, he thought, and it oftentimes put his team at an advantage. Once again, it came back to bite him, and it was at a disadvantage. Sorry, go, Patrick.
I was like, does this affect his legacy even more now? We've known his legacy has gone down since Tom Brady left and was able to win without him, that they haven't looked like the same team even remotely since the Tom Brady left. Does this affect his legacy even more that you can sit and go, well, Bill Belichick, he ain't this genius. He just got lucky and had Tom Brady. And he's a good defensive coach, really good defensive coach. But as a head coach, is he really a great head coach?
Coaching tree is usually one of those. One of those data points where you go, all right, if he's a great coach, he's got a great coaching tree. Well, I just told you, coaching tree sucks, and we all know that. I just told you why. So right now, you're right. It is another negative hit on his legacy as an all-time great coach.
We know Josh McDaniels, the only thing he learned how to do from was Spygate. Because he got caught again.
That's right.
Exactly. Yep. Like, it's pretty obvious that they don't learn jack from Bill Belichick as a coach. Now, is that because he doesn't share, or is it because he's not that great of a coach?
No. I mean, look at...
I am now reconsidering it. I know he's a damn good coach, but he's an all-time great coach.
I mean, how many current NFL head coaches are on the Mike Shanahan coaching tree?
Oh, goodness. Yeah, right.
That's what I'm saying, though. But people would say Mike Shanahan's not even close to Bill Belichick and the tree, but you're like, he's won 2 Super Bowls. He's done all this. He did it without.
Tree is prolific right now. Andy Reid, same thing. Andy Reid's coaching is prolific.
Yeah, and you look at those guys and you go, man, their coaching trees are huge, and they got Super Bowl wins, and they got. I don't know. I get that he had so many, but how many of those are we giving to Tom at this point, and how many do we go, well, defense is really good. You're probably the best defensive coordinator who's ever a head coach. Wow. Yeah. But you are not a head coach. You're not that guy. You're just not that guy without Tom Brady.
And to your point, Patrick, now he's in a tough situation where he's in a bit of a conundrum because legacy-wise, if he retires now, it's like, see, he knew that without Brady, that he was being exposed for just being a fraud. And if he continues to say, all right, you know what, I gotta rebuild my legacy a little bit. I gotta prove to people, one more great Super Bowl run that I can do it without Brady. And he continues to just regress and continues to hurt his legacy, then even further proves the point that you just brought up that, you know what, Belichick he was a bit of a fraud. That was Brady the whole time.
Look, I'll tell you, and as much as I'm the number one hate Bill O'Brien fan club member, Bill O'Brien's the best coach probably to come off his coaching tree.
NFL-wise, yes.
NFL-wise. Mm-hmm. So if you add him back into this Patriots offense and they still can't figure it out, that's where it starts to get real bad.
Yeah.
Because you're adding in a guy who can be an offensive coordinator and do a good job at it.
That's a good point. I know I think Belichick is going to double down. I think he's going to double down.
Of course he
because he's got to. Now the narrative has shifted so dramatically. He's got to pump it back up that hey, Belichick can do it without him, and that maybe that desperation is just what Lamar Jackson needs. No. You need a desperate Belichick willing to revive his legacy and resuscitate his legacy. He's like, you know what? I got one shot at this, guys. I got like 2 or 3 years before Robert Kraft figures out, man, this guy's a fraud. Get him out of here. He doesn't know how to pick coaches anymore. Lamar Jackson can make you look real smart as a coach.
Well, I'm not looking at Lamar. I just think that there's going to be that guy that can come play the game. And,
what's that, coach? What's that?
Yeah, I just said Lamar's
Exactly.
That's dead on.
Hey, Meek Mill likes it, and Robert Kraft is him and Meek Mill are BFFs, and Meek Mill and Lamar Jackson are close. I'm just saying. I hope it happens. All right, we got some more quarterback news. Aaron Rodgers. What the hell is up with Aaron Rodgers to the Jets?
Come on, man.
Why is it crickets? What's going on?
All right, did you hear about the Florio report?
Okay, now we got to get into the Florio report on the other side. And there is a random conspiracy theory about another team that could get into Aaron Rodgers' sweepstakes if the Jets are dragging their feet. We'll talk about that. Should the Cowboys trade for Cedric Wilson? We'll discuss that. And also Bryce Young, apparently the football IQ through the roof. All that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Let's talk about what's the best of both worlds when it comes to tequila. My go-to tequila, that is Hot Cat Tequila. The cat stands for cinnamon, agave, and tequila. The recipe, just as simple and just as delicious. It's just cinnamon, agave, nectar, and tequila. That's why it's so light. That's why it's so smooth. As a matter of fact, this past weekend, got a chance to enjoy some Hot Cat Tequila. It is the best way to get the weekend started with a bang. Hot Cat Tequila is a tequila lover's dream, and if you're not a fan of tequila, well, Hot Cat Tequila will make you a fan of tequila. It will turn any event into a party, and every party feels like a celebration. So celebrate and turn up with Hot Cat Tequila. And once you try Hot Cat, how could you ever go back to that old cinnamon whiskey or that cheap tequila you were ordering rounds of when you were just trying to get the party started? Turn up your party with Hot Cat Tequila. It's the perfect way to pregame for all the big games, concerts, festivals, or any night on the town with family and friends. Hot Cat Tequila is best served cold for a quick round of shots or to sip on the rocks. So visit Cat Tequila. That's cattequila.com to find a store near you that sells Hot Cat Tequila or to find a bar near you that serves Hot Cat Tequila. Toast and turn up with Hot Cat Tequila. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie and Raj Round the Day. A couple of stories I want to get to here. Cedric Wilson first. Talk about the Cowboys because the Cedric Wilson story I think is really interesting. And then we'll get to the Bryce Young story. And if we got time, we'll get to Aaron Rodgers. A lot of NFL story. If not, then we'll just table it and we'll get to that coming up next segment or at the top of the 6 o'clock. So the Miami Dolphins, reportedly, they are willing to talk to teams about a trade for Cedric Wilson, the wide receiver, who was once a Dallas Cowboy. You were a big Cedric Wilson fan, Hard. Remember you were on that bandwagon early. I remember my man KD was a big Cedric Wilson fan. He's just twitchy. He was just twitchy.
Yep.
And apparently he was so twitchy. He had a really good season for the Cowboys in 2021. Ended up having 45 receptions, 602 yards, 6 touchdowns, only 4 starts. That ended up earning him a contract, 3 years, $22.8 million contract with Miami. But strangely enough, he disappeared there. He just, I'm surprised he didn't fit in because you thought all the speedy wide receivers, Cedric Wilson would have been great there as a third, and they thought so too because they paid him like a third wide receiver. But he was their backup. He was kind of their backup kickoff returner and punt returner. But only in 2022, only had 18 targets in all of 2022.
Yep.
12 receptions, 136 yards. They didn't use him. And the reports are they may be willing to get rid of him if the price is right. Now, they're not going to cut him because he's going to count $8 million against their salary cap. And I think if they cut him, he still counts like $7 million against their salary cap. So they need to trade him in order to try to get him off the books and make him somebody else's problem and not their dead money. And the Cowboys do have $13 to $16 million in cap space right now. And this is prior to the June 1st Zeke cut, where they're going to get another $10.9 million on the books. They can't afford it. So the question becomes, gentlemen, if you're the Cowboys, would you rather have a Cedric Wilson on kind of a one-year rental deal because you'll probably cut him in 2024? He's going to cost you in salary. He probably will end up costing you close to, I don't know, $9 to $10 million, something like the $9 to $10 million for a wide receiver these days. That's not that. That's not really a high cost, I would say, for wide receivers. So $10.9 million, I believe, is what you'll end up saving on a Zeke thing. So just the Zeke cut alone to end up paying for a one-year rental of Cedric Wilson.
Look, you messed up in the very beginning. You got rid of him. Well, you didn't want to pay him any money.
You didn't want to pay him.
You didn't want to pay him. I get that. But you also didn't want to pay Amari Cooper. This was one of Dak's favorite wide receivers.
Loved him.
He was clutch all the time. He was that number 3 that the Cowboys were looking for. They were truly looking for a number 2, but Dalton Schultz kind of filled that role. So you would have had another wide receiver that could come in and do that. And I guarantee you he's more sure-handed than Noah Brown.
Yeah.
I can tell you that. And you got to eat some crow if you're going to make that signing. And does he give you a discount? Because he wasn't productive. So if you're going to trade, what do you trade? Like a 7th-round pick?
That's a good point.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, yeah, you can play that right.
You can play it that way.
Yeah, this is the question. So would you rather have Cedric Wilson, or would you rather go into the draft and try to get a wide out in the draft? In terms of a wide out helping you right away, maybe you'll find that guy in the draft, or maybe you won't. I guess the chances are higher that Cedric Wilson makes more of an immediate impact. So for the Cowboys, in terms of value, what's better value? 1-year rental of a Cedric Wilson, or finding an immediate impact wide receiver to help you as your 4th wide receiver in the draft? Because we know now
you tried that last year.
CD's the 1st, Brandon Cooks 2nd, Gallup's 3rd. We're looking for your 4th.
You tried that last year. You tried that in the offseason where you thought James Washington was going to be your guy in your free agency. Then you drafted Jalen Tolbert, who wasn't mature enough yet as a wide receiver. You did make that run, and you can still draft someone late. But I would definitely go after Cedric Wilson.
See,
I'm a big fan of Cedric Wilson.
You are. I would say I know you are.
I'd much more you be looking on the if I'm going to make a trade, I'm looking way more at tight end. Unless you get a tight end who can play for you right away. But you're already paying Brandon Cooks, you're paying CeeDee Lamb, you're paying Michael Gallup. You don't need to pay 4 wide receivers. I get if one of them gets hurt, then when he gets hurt early and you need to get a 3rd guy, he's great. But you can't pay you can't take 2 of the wide receivers out of that draft class and that's you're already had a re-up on, and that's your 3rd and 4th wide receiver, and you're paying them like a second. You're paying 2 guys like a 2nd wide receiver and they're your third and fourth.
Yeah.
Like you need a tight end more. Hopefully we're away from this Kellen Moore. We're going to lose our number one guy to be a decoy so our number 4 guy can get open. Well, hopefully we'll get away from that offense now. And I don't think you need the number 4 as much as Kellen Moore relied on a number 4 wide receiver. That was one of my problems with Kellen Moore always, was he just went for the guy. He would go and go, we were going to drop this whole play to scheme open the guy with the worst cornerback on him. No, man. Get your guys you're paying. You have Brandon Cooks and CeeDee Lamb. Get those guys a ton of targets. Hopefully Michael Gallup comes back, because also in a one-year rental, you need to find out if Michael Gallup gets it back or is he gone at the end of this year.
That is a big question.
I think you go ahead and you say, all right, let's see if Tolbert, if we get another year of him and an off season with him, if he's got anything or if he's off and he's done and we just missed on that pick completely, or we can kind of put a couple other guys in there. But at the 4th wide receiver spot, I mean, you don't need to be stacked at wide receiver. What teams can you tell me that are that stacked at wide receiver that their number 4 is paid like a number 2?
It's not a lot of teams that are going to be that stacked at wide receiver.
I mean, the Super Bowl champs, that Cedric Wilson's a number 1 on the Super Bowl champs.
Yeah, but they got Patrick Mahomes.
I get that, but you're saying we need 4?
No, I'm not. 4? No, I'm just bringing up. I'm just having the conversation. This is a thought experiment here. But what I will say is that you have to make the determination. Like, and Harge, he wants Cedric Wilson because he says, well, you're not going to find that guy, an impact player in the draft. And I don't disagree with that. I do think wide receiver is one of the deepest positions in football. I've been saying it for years. I believe probably the deepest position in football at any level, the highest levels. And man, you can find a wide receiver, especially we're now talking about a 4th wide receiver. All right, so we're talking about here 3rd or 4th wide receiver. Hopefully you're 4th because you want Michael Gallup to come back stronger than ever. I think I would be leaning go to the draft to get your 4th wide receiver. Now, who's going to be your tight end? That's another question too. And Todd McShay's got the Cowboys taking Michael Mayer, the tight end from Notre Dame with their first round pick. I don't necessarily agree with that because I think you find tight ends, and this is a deep tight end draft, by the way.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Yeah, you find middle round, really good tight ends in the middle rounds. Go look at your Kittles. Go look at Dalton Schultz. You can find good ones in the middle round. So I don't necessarily agree with taking a tight end that high. But I will say if I'm the GM of the Cowboys right now, I like where I am at wide receiver. But I would draft the wide receiver in the draft, and depending on the price tag that you can get for Cedric Wilson, maybe it's worth it because what you did get from the Texans, well, remember, you got the Texans to pay a third of that salary for Brandon Cooks, and then you went cash over cap with the other part of it, and essentially now the Brandon Cooks salary for the Cowboys was $6 million.
Mm-hmm.
So you went, yes, I'm saying you can find a way to decrease that salary of Cedric Wilson, just like you did Brandon Cook's salary. You just got to convince the Dolphins in the negotiation, hey, I need you to pay a little bit of this. Can you pay a little bit of it?
Come on, give me some of that.
Can you pay 15% of it?
Yeah.
I'm going to knock off a little bit of it. I'm going to give him cash over cap, give him another bit of that on the bonus, and then we're going to have our 4th wide receiver at $2 million or whatever.
You already know Cowboy
but he
already looked at it.
He did exactly what he did with Brandon Cooks.
That's what I'm saying.
So you really can do the same thing with Cedric Wilson if you are truly going all in. And there's a feel that the Cowboys are going with more of a all-in philosophy and an aggressive philosophy this all season rather than the usual, the homegrown recipe. They are the most homegrown team in the NFL and building through the draft. I like wide receivers through the draft. Matter of fact, I had a little stat that I was looking at. I'm doing research for the NFL draft. There have been, if you go look at it in the last since 2017. All right, since 2017, you look at rookie wide receivers with at least 100-plus targets, and there have been 13 rookie wide receivers with 100-plus targets since 2017, and 12 of them have been in the last 3 years. So the rookie wide receivers are contributing at a higher level, quicker, or at I would say, more frequency and earlier than ever before. So you get a rookie wide receiver, I mean, there's a good chance you can throw him out there early, and because it's a pace and space league and because we don't have, this is an NFL offense, this is a pro offense, this is a college offense, because now all of these offenses, they're very much hybridized. We just have football offenses now. There's very little, to me, delineation between the NFL and the college game. It's not as much as there used to be. These wide receivers have come ready to be plug-and-play players more so than they used to be back in the past. So if I was the Cowboys, if you can trade for Cedric Wilson and shave off some of that salary, get them to take on some of the salary, and also you go cash over cap and try to reduce that figure, and I would still draft a wide receiver too, honestly.
Yeah, why not?
They still should probably draft one. And then
You've done a great job in the offseason.
Yeah.
Let's continue this momentum.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, so if you can get it for the right price, go after Cedric Wilson. Why not? Be aggressive. Go after him.
I'd say, but I wait on that one. I wait on that one to see who falls to me in the draft, see what I can figure out there, see if there's another better deal out there.
You good?
Again, this is a similar offense to what Kellen Moore run, but it's not the same offense. I would say let's go try and find somebody that could be for the future, because I got to figure out what I'm doing post Brandon Cooks. I got to figure out what I'm doing post Michael Gallup. If he doesn't work out,
you do both. You draft one. You got to draft one too.
And Cedric Wilson, you go, well, we got to cut you anyway because we're not paying you in a year. So
and you're probably not playing Brandon Cooks in a year either. So you're going to have to draft the wide receiver anyway.
Yeah,
that's why
I'd say I'd rather wait on Cedric Wilson another year and push Miami's hand to cut him, and then be like, hey, come back to where we were good, and look at it more that way than. Because I don't think they give him up for anything less than a fifth, probably, and that's way too high to give up for him.
The draft capital doesn't concern me. The salary concerns me a little bit more than the draft capital. I'd give up the draft capital. The salary would be my biggest issue, but if you can reduce the salary, and there are several ways you can do it, I don't think it's crazy, man. It would give you a significant advantage. And what's your biggest issue in the NFC? The really good defenses. Right? The Eagles got a good defense. The 49ers have stopped you lately with their good defense.
Yep.
Why not get a high-powered offense? And you already have a top-5 defense, and you still got to draft the wide receiver. There's no question. But I don't know. If you can get it for the right price, Cedric Wilson, that's intriguing. It's really intriguing because there's no guarantee whoever you bring at tight end is going to be a real threat this year. They're not going to be Dalton Schultz.
Right.
So where do those targets go? Where does that target share go, though?
Yeah.
That target share's got to go somewhere, and you can divide that up between different guys. All right, good discussion. We'll come back. We still haven't gotten to the Bryce Young cognition test. We'll get into that on the other side, right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie, right here on 104.9 The Horn, midweek movie music edition of Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. I want to get to this sound really quickly because it's Daniel Jeremiah, and he does, obviously, NFL draft analysis for NFL Network. Does a really good job. And he revealed that Bryce Young scored the highest score on their they have a cognition test that they make the players take. I don't think they make them take it, but they ask them to take it. Here is Daniel Jeremiah explaining what the test is, the cognition test. I think it's called the C2 test, something like that, and how Bryce Young scored the highest on this test.
There's a thing, I don't know if you guys have read up on the S2 test. Have you guys done any work on this? So it's a processing test that are now being given to especially quarterbacks. It's been big in baseball. So it'll be like, 6 shapes pop up and one's different. How quick can you identify the one that's different? It's how quick you can process information. If you think about for baseball, pitch recognition and all that stuff, like it's a very valuable tool, and it's made its way over to the football the last 5 or 6 years. Josh Allen was off the charts on it. Mahomes tested off the charts on it. Last year in the entire quarterback class, Brock Purdy had the highest number, had the highest grade on that. This year it's Bryce Young. So processing information.
Is this public info?
No, but that part is now. So,
all right, so not public info, but now it's public information. All right, that change your individual evaluation of Bryce Young, knowing with this cognitive test where Brock Purdy, ironically, strangely, scored the highest test last season, and he ended up being one of the big highlight stories of the NFL last season as a rookie, as Mr. Irrelevant. That, to me, it just kind of it tracks with what we've said about Bryce Young, about him being a superior intellectual when it comes to his pregame preparation.
He's that dude. I mean, that's what we've seen. That's what we thought about. That's what we've noticed on his anticipation. He reads the field well. He knows exactly what's going on at all times. He's got a spidey sense where he can duck under Watts coming off the backside and get out over there and put his team in a position. He always seems to avoid that big hit and make a good throw and throw into windows. So, no, this doesn't shock me or change anything. He's a Heisman Trophy winner who we thought was going to be the number 1 overall pick if the Texans had that pick, and now it's a question mark. You know what I'm saying? So that's the only reason why there's questions. But no, this doesn't change the way I think about him, because I thought he was a sharp dude anyway.
Yeah. For the record, sorry, Patrick, go ahead.
I would say I am curious now where the other guys score on it, just to see the bigger gap. That to me is more interesting, because you're like, oh yeah, we got it. Bryce Young is supposed to be that guy.
Yep.
But then you go, all right, well, where's Will Levis? Where's Anthony Richardson? Where's C.J. Stroud?
Yep.
Where's Hendon Hooker? Where do all those guys place on that? So then I go, who else is a guy that's like, are there comps on this? Can I see more?
All right, I'll do some research, because I think there's a couple of articles about it. So I'll do some research, but here's a little nugget about it. So apparently the co-founder of the S2 cognition test said the 2023 quarterback class, Allie was her name. She said, Allie is a man. Allie said he couldn't divulge scores, but he did say the 2023 quarterback results were dramatically better than last year, when only Purdy and one other quarterback scored above the 90th percentile. He said, quote, "We've been doing the NFL draft for 7 years now. From an S2 cognitive perspective, last year was the worst year we've ever had score-wise. And this year is by far and away the best year we've ever had score-wise at the quarterback position."
Okay.
So he's saying this class of quarterbacks has scored better than any other class of quarterbacks in the last 7 years since they've been administering the S2 cognitive test.
I like it.
And did you ever use a baseball test? Did you ever do this?
We did take this.
You did this?
Crazy. Well, I mean, I'm sure it's something more.
In its rudimentary form,
Oh,
probably.
yeah.
Like, you so damn old is what you're saying.
Right, yeah. I think I did mine on a typewriter. I know that if we was on a computer, it was on a DOS. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's true. That's a good point. All right. Anyway,
My man Rod said, "You so damn old."
no, the way you said it, I was just remarking about the way you said it. You were like, oh, man,
yeah.
back in my day,
No, I don't think this was the same kind. Let's just say that.
Oh, that's funny. All right, we'll come back. One more hour left. We'll get into the Masters preview. We'll talk Astros and Rangers. Go Stros. And also Texas baseball beating Air Force. We'll chop that up with my man Hardball. All that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie. A wonderful down the horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie, midweek movie music edition of Ball Don't Lie. The genius of my man Patrick, the Idillionaire, once again coming up with the musically themed days of the week. And on midweek movie music, my man Patrick takes selections from a soundtrack of a movie that inspired him, plays those songs for us, and based on these selections played, Harj and I are supposed to gather clues that lead us to the featured film of midweek movie music. This week, Harj got it. Took him a little longer than it should have, but he got it. It was Bad Boys, one of his favorite films.
Yes.
Harj just said, have you seen every Bad Boys in the theater?
Yes.
Everyone in the theater.
Every one of them.
I've seen, I think, 2 in the theater. I think after part 2, I was like, nah, I don't need to see it in the theater.
Oh, yeah, man.
I'll see it, but I don't need to see it in the theater.
I did not see the original in theater because it came out in 1995, and I was 11.
I was going to say, yeah, you had to
Damn,
sneak
Patrick.
in.
I was 11 when the first one came out. So
You
I
had
did
to
not
sneak
see
into the
Y'all taking these old jokes today, man. Y'all making these old jokes today.
Hey, you're right. Actually, I wasn't. I was only 15, so technically I'm just sneaking in too. I believe or rated at the time.
Yeah.
I had to sneak in that.
Yeah,
joint
but
too.
15, you knew people with cars.
I was definitely going to the movies when I was 15, and because that's the movies one of the only places your mom and dad would drop you off and let you hang out there for a while.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if you found movies at a mall, then we used
Then
to
you got a
hang out
combo.
there for a
You got
while.
the
You're like,
combo.
oh no, mom, I'm gonna hang out at the mall. I'm gonna eat at the food court. That's gonna take me 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna go to movies. That's another 5 hours.
Yeah,
Your
yeah.
mom's like, what you going to see? I'm gonna track it. It's like, oh, mom, the movie is sold out.
It's sold out.
Just make them all type of excuses. Oh, mom, the screen, something happened. I had to go to another movie.
Oh, we're going to see Winnie the Pooh?
Yeah, mama would know we're going to see Bad Boys, but yes, my man Harj loves him some Bad Boys. That is the featured film from midweek movie music. Strangely enough, that song you just played, and I don't know if that's the version of it, but a version of that is now the official theme song for like 2 different because it's also the Cops theme show.
I mean, it's always
definitely
been the Cops
Cops.
theme song.
Yeah.
For the Cops, and then Bad Boys kind of brought it back with Bad Boys, and they
Yes.
use it, of course, in the
Any,
movie.
any guess on the band name?
Oh,
I know,
no
Inner
way.
Circle.
There,
Inner
Harj
Circle.
got it.
How?
Inner Circle.
Yeah.
Damn, is that a one-hit wonder?
I mean, I have to imagine.
I would
I mean,
strongly-
well, because here's the thing. I don't even know that's a hit until Cops used it.
You could be right about that.
Yeah.
I think it was just everyone knew it from Cops because you just, when you hear that song,
Yeah.
you imagine a cop running with the cameraman lapping him 3 times.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, you can see the footage of the cameraman running. There's the cops running too. Oh,
Cameraman
man.
hopping over fences and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you need to hire the cameraman. They seem to be doing a good job.
They are
Cameraman's-
very athletic.
He's got the camera's like 100 pounds. He's rolling
Yeah.
with
Just a
it,
guy
too.
hiding under a kiddie pool looking at the cameraman like, shut up. Shut up. Don't tell him back here.
Man. Cops. That was crazy. That became a phenomenon. And I was like, did you watch it?
They brought it back
Cops,
again.
the TV show. Yeah, they've had several reiterations. It's never
Yeah.
as popular as the original. The
No,
original
Not
kind
even
of
close.
just took the
I think
world
that
by
was,
storm.
was that the original reality television?
No, I don't think but it was in terms of a form of it, yes. In
Yes.
terms of a form of it, a different form of it, yes, it was because we hadn't seen anything like Cops really. That was a
Yeah.
different form. That's like remember that show Cheaters? You remember the show Cheaters?
Oh,
Where
God.
they would that was a different form of reality TV too.
Oh, my
Somebody got
goodness.
stabbed on that show, and I believe
The
that was
host did, right?
That was like that was like the
Yeah.
decline of it. They would take people.
That's when things change quickly.
Oh, it was such a great a trash reality TV show. Essentially, they would find somebody who believed their spouse, significant other, was cheating on them, and then they would film an episode of trying to catch them cheating on them. Oh man, it was some grade A trash TV.
I had a buddy. We always told him if we saw that dude, we would be yelling at him like, run!
Yeah,
We're cheaters, run!
yeah, bro, somebody trying to get you.
It like Cedric the Entertainer. I don't know why they running, but I'll ask questions later. I'm gonna run
Exactly.
too.
Join the group. We all running. We'll find out what we was running about when we get to where we need to get to. Ain't no
Exactly.
question. All right, let's get to some news, notes, and nuggets. We got a couple of stories. We'll talk a little baseball here. Texas baseball beating Air Force. We'll talk Astros, Rangers as well. Go Stros. We'll get into that. Also, Masters preview. We'll tell you why everybody's so excited about this upcoming Masters. And the latest, and I don't know if it's going to be the last story, but the latest in the Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese national title game controversy. I've never seen women's basketball get this much play and this much airtime out of one incident
Right.
or story. So God bless them. I mean, it is milking
It's
it
a
for
lot
everything.
going on.
It is a lot going on, but I think it's the last bit of it because this is Angel Reese essentially. And by the way, both Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark basically declining the First Lady's invitation or faux invitation. Caitlin Clark declined it, and Angel Reese, I believe, declined it. So
Yeah.
we'll get into that. Yeah, so the First Lady, she's probably not feeling too good. you get.
I was just trying to do something sweet.
Yeah, she was. But apparently there may have been an ulterior motive, is what Angel Reese kind of points out.
Yeah.
She went on a podcast and was talking about it. So anyway, we'll get to that when we got some time. We just got a lot of different things, so we'll kind of go scatter shooting around with these next few items. Let's talk baseball, Major League Baseball first. Because, Harge, you talked about this a little bit in your Harge Knock Life yesterday, so I'd encourage everybody who missed it, go check out the Harge's Harge Knock Life yesterday. It was good today, giving you kind of a review of Reggie, the documentary piece about Reggie Jackson on Amazon.
Yep.
But yesterday, got into some Major League Baseball discussion, and it was really good stuff. So I found some more stuff, Harge, that I think you may find intriguing about the rule changes and the effect they've had on Major League Baseball in the game. So how about this little nugget? And this is crazy. So there was a Major League Baseball game last night that ended in less than 2 hours.
Yeah, buddy.
Isn't that crazy? The Marlins and the Twins.
Yep.
Hour and 57-minute game. Sandy Alcantara.
Mm-hmm.
What
do you have, 9
complete
strikeouts
game?
or something?
Yeah, complete game for him. So that helps, by the way.
Yep.
Helps
Throwing
you-
strikes, baby.
Yeah, helps you
I'll
out.
tell you.
Yeah, pitcher was just putting them away, man. He's putting them away, and yeah, so he actually had a complete game, and yeah, it was a complete game and it was a shutout. So
Yep.
it was his 6th, I believe. Last year he had 6.
Yeah,
complete
he's a
games.
star.
Damn, that's crazy.
He's
That's
a star.
how rare is that?
It's very rare.
I was gonna say-
he won the Cy Young last year.
Yeah, that's
So,
why.
Yeah,
You don't see that, man. That's some workhorse stuff.
Yeah.
They're thinking with 36 total last year, and he had 6 of them.
Yeah. And he, like you said, the game was 1-0, only 3 hits by each team.
He was under pressure constantly
Exactly.
and didn't give up a damn thing.
He was on that. He was locked in, baby.
Man, that is
Locked in.
Yeah, and I like, as I said, if it's going to be low scoring, can we make it a quick game? And I'm telling you, most of the low scoring games have been fast games.
Mm-hmm.
It's something about their, I don't know, the algorithm of the rules they put together, but it's worked out where the low scoring games are quick games, and if they do happen to have a longer
high-scoring
game,
too.
but the longer games are usually high scoring.
Yep.
So I don't know if it's the high scoring that's leading to longer games or longer games leads to high scoring, but either way, it works. The formula works.
Mm-hmm.
Because if people are going to sit around and you're not going to have a lot of scoring to captivate people and to keep them engaged, hey, as long as it's a quick game, get it in, you're quick.
So
I like it.
that game was 1-0. It was 2 hours an hour and 57 minutes. The Milwaukee Brewers and the New York Mets game, score was 9-0. 13 hits by the Brewers, 8 hits by the New York Mets. Time length, 2 hours 17 minutes.
Wow. So you got offense. It's one-sided.
Yes.
But at least you got pace. You
You had everything.
had action.
Yeah, you had action. Home runs were being hit, so you still got to remember guys are jogging the bases, so that goes into it as well.
Yep.
Still 2 hours 17 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think it's great, and all the numbers say here's a number here for you. First 75 games of 2022 compared to the first 79 games of 2023. So 4 more games in this stat for 2023 compared to 2022. But in 2022, first 75 games, you had 635 runs. First 79 games of 2023, 723 runs.
Yeah.
So you're talking about that's a big difference. 734 singles through the first 75 games,
Yep.
868 through the first 79 of this year.
That's outstanding work, man.
Last year, 152 home runs through 75 games. This year, 193 home runs through the first 79 games. This is something that you love, and you brought it up yesterday. 55 steals through the first 75 games, 101
Yep.
steals
They getting at it. They
through
getting
the
after
first
it.
79. So everything is up.
Yeah.
Everything is up, and the duration of the games is down. I don't think they could have. There's no way that they could have predicted the rules would work this well.
No, and I mean, because you're now being able to manufacture runs as well. So if you get a guy on base and you get a couple hits in an inning, it's a lot easier to get a run across than before, where it was like, well, now you got 2 men on, and you get to the bottom of the order, and this guy can only hit into the shift. And all right, well, it's 2 men out, but we're still getting out because he's just hitting for the home run, and it's short. So you would have these long innings where you check at first base 150 times, and then the next guy gets on, and you have to do that again, and then then you get out of the inning. This time you're getting at least a couple runs across if you're having one of those longer innings, so you get the scoring that you want to see. And if there's not that, then it's just
over quick.
It's a 4 or 5 minute inning.
Yeah, and to that point, the Astros, go Stros. We'll get into them because they got a win here, bouncing back. The Astros game yesterday had an inning that took less than 2 minutes.
Half inning, right?
Yeah.
Half inning.
Yeah.
Half inning.
Well, no, the whole minute. It said
Both sides batted.
Wow. Game had an inning that took less than 2 minutes. It was a minute and 56 seconds for the whole inning. Yeah. Exactly.
I'm like, how is that even possible?
Because they're picking up and putting them down. If it's not a lot of scoring, then it's done.
That's interesting. I like that.
Crazy.
That is getting into it. That's for sure.
Man, love it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so getting into also another little stat here: 3,682 days over the last 35 baseball seasons, in which at least 14 Major League Baseball games were played. The average time of the games yesterday, 2 hours and 33 minutes, was the shortest average of any of those days.
Wow.
So it's been 3,682 days of over the last 35 seasons of Major League Baseball games played. 14 Major League Baseball games played on the same day, I should say. And of those 3,682 days where they had at least 14 Major League Baseball games played over the last 35 seasons, the average time yesterday was the lowest of any of those days over the last 35 years.
That's impressive, man.
It's shocking.
It's
shocking.
The game has changed.
I've never seen a rule.
Hey.
I don't think I've seen a rule change in any of the major sports in my lifetime, obviously. But if you can study it probably in any lifetime, have such a dramatic and instantaneous effect.
Right.
Like immediate effect.
Cool. I mean, this is so exciting for people. And I heard E. Hogan talk about this because this was something we all had brought up. They moved the end of beer sales to the 8th inning now.
They had
because of the pace of the game. So those are going to the numbers we were talking about. I'm gonna try to find those answers here this week. What is the money that is being lost because the game has been so fast? Because people they can't overindulge on food. They can't overindulge on the liquor or the alcohol.
You underestimate Americans.
That is true.
I can overindulge in food in 2 innings easy.
That is true.
But I'm curious because that also gets equal. If the numbers go up in other places and more people are coming out to the ballpark, especially if more people are willing to bring their families out, because families is where you spend the most money, because that's when, hey man, that kid needs to eat something now. That kid wants a toy, and that kid wants this. But if you can get attendance up, then that corrects into that area.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the attendance, that's the next question. Harge asked that in his Hard Knock Life yesterday. It did say Major League Baseball generated 172 million viewers, 172 million viewers watching on opening day, which was a 42% increase and a record. But I think that's because people wanted to see what the new rules will look like, and opening day is kind of a national holiday.
It is.
Throwing it out there, too. All right. So, texture did. Joe number 2 said it was Framber's half
inning.
Inning. Okay. So,
because I'm
right.
like, man, that is like how they get on the field, off the field to be able to have that happen that fast. So they must have swung at like the first 2 pitches of each at bat.
Yeah. So
you know what I'm saying? They had to put the ball in play at that point.
Yeah. So Pastor, you're right. He said that, but still, it's moving at a drastic pace.
Yes.
Yeah. That's still insanely fast.
It's still really fast. Okay. The Astros did find a way to win. They did bounce back after a disappointing showing last night or yesterday. The Astros do come with a win over the Tigers, 8-2. And the Rangers bounced back as well. Both the Rangers and the Astros lost yesterday. Both bounced back with a win. Rangers get a 5-2 win over the Orioles.
Yep.
So big wins, I think, for both squads because I think
much needed.
Yeah, because Rangers fans, they started out impatient to start the season and then ended up with their foot in their mouth. And then after 27 runs scored, I believe, in the first 2 games for the Rangers, And then they ended up, having one hit in one of that first game against the Orioles. I think they had one hit the whole game. I'm not making that up. That was a real stat, actually. They had one hit, and then obviously having a lackluster scoring performance last night from the Rangers, but now them bouncing back. So Rangers fans should feel better about that. And the Astros maybe shaking off the curse of having Mark Wahlberg give the play ball call on opening day. A guy who has nothing to do other than some business arrangement with Alex Bregman. That's the only attachment and connection he has to the Astros. I do believe the baseball gods have cursed the Astros just for a little bit, not for a long time. But, yeah, you're going to have somebody who did not deserving of that honor do it on opening day of all days. Yeah, you deserve to have your opening day win streak of 10 games, a record snapped. Boom.
Snap.
And all the good mojo of Megan Thee Stallion thrown out because Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch wanted to say play ball in H-Town.
No, and because y'all wanted to make it, because his thing was he loved the Astros because they beat the Yankees. And that is what he said. He goes, no, I love them because you're my favorite Yankees beaters. And I was like, yeah, that's because we're better than the Red Sox. Go back to your boring team in Boston. Enjoy looking at a big wall for a while.
Thank you. Exactly. Come on. That is a good, actually, that's pretty good. That's not bad. I guess the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah, that is what he was saying.
All
but then when we beat the Red Sox, I bet he's going to be rooting for the other team.
You damn right he will
So forget you. We got plenty of celebrities in Texas.
I agree. I can't get over that, and I guess I need to get over it. But hopefully the Astros get over that too, and they come up with the win, with the dub over the Tigers. All right, let's get to Texas baseball. Can we get some Texas baseball nuggets before we get out of this segment? All right, what you got? Texas baseball with a big win over Air Force. It was a dominant win. The bats showed up, got some home runs.
Home field advantage.
Home field, and Chicks did the long ball. Saw a couple of those too.
That's right. The Texas baseball team went out and did a great job against Air Force. And I don't know if I got you that sound, Patrick, of the Air Force coach and what he was talking about with his time with Big Red, Keith Moreland, and Zeke, Greg Swindell on LHN. But the Texas bats came to life as we expected when they came back home. They had that 16-game win streak snapped, and now they're starting another one. This is a not warm up. It was a game against Air Force Academy, which was outstandingly played by both teams, and now Texas will take on K-State to get right back into Big 12 conference play starting tomorrow, because let's not forget, the games will now be Thursday, Friday, and Saturday because of Easter weekend. So they're trying to get the games in starting tomorrow night, 6:30 at the Dish.
Okay. Yeah, that would make sense. A lot of crazy weather patterns going on right now.
Yeah, it might be some rainouts going on too, so be careful with that as well.
And you're going to call some action, correct?
I am going to be there on Saturday with Craig Way calling the game. The game on Saturday is supposed to be at 12 noon, but we're going to see what happens with the weather coming up. It is turf field, so they might be able to make some things happen, but most of the time, the only time you get games canceled or rescheduled is when lightning is occurring as well.
And it is Texas, so who knows?
Exactly.
Who knows what the weather holds tomorrow?
Exactly.
And I don't know if you
great point.
I love the weather guessers, but man, they've been unreliable lately.
For
been
sure.
all over the place.
For sure.
They've been waffling a lot. And I get it. It's not their fault, man. The weather is crazy and unpredictable. That weather also going to affect the Masters this weekend. Hart's going to be working, so he might end up missing a little bit of the Masters. But it's supposed to be one of the most anticipated Masters in a really long time, even for a novice golf fan like myself, because the live golfers are participating, 18 of them. And that's been the big topic of conversation. You have some true villains now, and every now and then, I'll talk to Chad when we're changing shows, and Chad and I often will talk about superhero movies and very nerdy stuff, because we're talking about wrestling, something like that. And last time we were talking about movies, and he was asking me about a movie that I'd watched, and I remember saying this specifically. If the movie is say it's a superhero movie, or say that it's an action movie, if it doesn't have a great villain, there's a good chance that movie's gonna disappoint, underwhelm. Yeah. The villain is kind of key to the movie and the storyline, the plot. The villain is gonna create the conflict creates the storylines. If your villain is not compelling, if your villain is not, interesting, then I think your movie's going to fall short. The Masters this year, the villain does not fall short. They're true villains. From a political stance, the players actually have talked about how they believe that, LIV could be something that hurts the sport and could have a detrimental effect on, their livelihood and, their careers. There's lawsuits thrown out there. Greg Norman is talking about they're going to celebrate on the 18th hole if a LIV golfer ends up winning the Masters. You also there was even a story that came out today that some of the LIV golfers, not all of them, are wearing the LIV stuff. They can't convince all of them to wear it. Some of the golfers in the LIV Tour thought it would be disrespectful to blatantly and kind of overtly show off the LIV stuff while they're at the Masters. So they did it in a more discreet way, maybe wore something over it, a vest over it or something else. They didn't just show it. But some guys have been proudly displaying the LIV, their LIV stuff and all their LIV merchandise. And even that is a great storyline for the villain. So I just love that, man, golf has got real villains now, true villains.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully, whether it be a Dustin Johnson or Brooks Koepka or Patrick Reed or whoever, one of these guys from the LIV Tour can make it interesting down the stretch.
Yeah.
Because I know the PGA guys are going to show up. They're motivated.
They're
and
dialed in.
They're dialed in and ready to go. The LIV guys, we're not sure about. We haven't seen them. We don't have access. This is their biggest, stage they've been on since they joined the LIV Tour, and they're going to have these big stages because they're going to meet at all the majors.
Yeah.
The LIV guys are going to have access to the majors is what it seems like, and that's the only time the public is really going to see them because nobody watches the LIV Tour. Nobody.
I'm not going to lie to you.
Nobody watch. Not even golf fans watch it.
I was flipping through my TV the other day, and I stumbled upon it, and I thought it was a high school tournament. And the reason being is because I forgot they can wear shorts.
Yeah, they're casual.
It's very casual.
They're very casual. Yeah.
Like a real villain wearing shorts.
Come on, man.
Superheroes. Only superheroes wear shorts.
But I think it's a pretty intriguing storyline. Like I said, if those guys are competitive, then it'll, like I said, learn from the women's national title game. I mean, there's no way anybody in sports entertainment would have predicted that women's national title game, which, by the way, it wasn't a great game.
Yep.
The game wasn't that close. We're not talking about the action in the game. We're not talking about the coaching adjustments and the counters and all that, and then going back and forth in game-winning shots. No, we're talking about the salacious headlines and storylines surrounding that game. And to me, that's the lesson that golf should take.
Yeah.
If you can create enough of those salacious storylines with dynamic personalities and embrace the petty.
Embrace the petty.
Women's basketball embraced the petty. They embraced it.
That's
you can't
a
see
good
me.
point right there.
So remember what's the young lady who got into it with the Texas basketball player after their game? Was it Van Lyke?
No, it was the girl. What did you say her name was?
Was it Van Lyke?
Yes, yeah, from Louisville.
Yes.
Yeah.
Man, they had petty all over the place.
Yeah.
And you couldn't help but start to observe it as a sports fan, going, man, women getting petty over there.
And she was the one that got cussed out by
Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
And then Caitlin Clark got it thrown in her face by Angel Reese. I'm like, I love it.
Yep.
I love it all.
Yep.
I'm embracing it all. But it was that pettiness, all right? And those charismatic, dynamic personalities. You got to be good, too.
You got to be good.
You got to be good. Now, you can't just doing that and then have a trash product. These ladies are fantastic players, but then they're dynamic, charismatic personalities, all right, that want to showcase their sport. And we were captivated by it.
Yeah.
I'll give you the numbers again, but more viewers than the Sugar, Orange, and Cotton Bowls, than the Big 12, Pac-12, ACC title games, Notre Dame, USC, LSU, Bama, Ohio State, Penn State, Bama, Texas A&M on primetime. More viewers in all those games. More viewers than last year's every game of last year's NBA playoffs except the finals, every game of last year's Major League Baseball postseason except the World Series, every NASCAR race since 2017, including Daytona 500, and every NHL game in more than 50 years, including all of your Stanley Cup finals. The ladies beat them.
Hey, ladies.
And like I said, it wasn't even a good game. They beat it because we were talking about all the trash talk and all the salacious headlines and gossip and the petty surrounding that matchup.
My son was so hyped at the game.
Exactly.
He was
yeah,
so
your family
hyped.
went to the game.
They went to the game.
That's what I'm saying. Golf.
Yeah.
Golf can set this up right now. It is set up for you right now. You just got to embrace the petty. So if they're not some random stories about some guys getting into it, some scuffles and some words exchanged, all right, out there on the green, I'm gonna be disappointed in you, Golf, because they've shown you the path. We've never talked about women's basketball this much. Never, ever.
Walking in people's line like you're not supposed to on
come on
the
now.
green.
Petty.
Yeah.
Petty.
Yeah.
Be petty, man.
It's about to.
Just give me some more petty golf, and I'm telling you, just like wrestling. You know what? You know who gets constant ratings more so than, other than football, which is probably the biggest consistent ratings monster in America other than football?
Yep.
It's probably wrestling.
It is definitely wrestling.
Like consistently. Always up there in most viewed broadcasts in America. It's because wrestling's figured out the recipe. Hero, heel, villains, create conflict storylines. That's all they do.
Yep.
They major in it. The women, they took a page out of the WWE book and applied it to women's national title game this year, and America was captivated. PGA, do it. The Liv's doing half the work for you. They're already villains. I just need one or two of y'all to go over there and be petty.
Be petty.
Go give them the UK See Me. Go do
my
it.
gosh.
Go, that would be awesome. If Rory ends up making
my
an eagle or a
goodness.
birdie and does a UK See Me, I would lose it. I would lose it. Are you kidding
That would
me?
be pretty dope.
Oh, exactly.
That would be pretty
y'all
dope.
know y'all be like, are they talking trash now?
I was like,
They
okay,
talking
here
trash
we
at the
go.
Masters? And then
Yeah.
when the Live guys comes over and he does something, come on, man.
Yeah.
You know they would set the golf world ablaze.
Yeah.
Like what? If you're gonna let women's basketball say they did a great job, but I think they followed a certain recipe that and it helped having some sexism, a little racism, a little ageism thrown into the conversation.
Yeah,
We're
there was
always,
a lot of work in there.
little political slant now.
Yeah.
Americans love that, but still, initially we watched the game before all of that took place.
I love it.
We watched the game for the petty trash talk by charismatic, dynamic,
Yep.
elite athletes. That's what entertains us.
Yeah.
Are you not entertained? I wish Caitlin Clark and Andrew Reese would have did the gladiator thing.
Oh.
They should just went, are you not entertained? Are you
I
not
think she did
entertained?
a couple times,
Right?
actually, when she was yelling at the fans.
She really did. That's
Yeah.
what you needed. That's Russell Crowe style. Because I was entertained. We all were.
Yep.
Golf, that's what we need. Need you to go gladiator.
Yeah.
All right. We come back. We'll talk NBA. They know how to do it. NBA, salacious gossip, NBA headlines right here on Ball Don't Lie. 104.9. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Great jam right here, Me Against the World, Pac on the Bad Boys soundtrack, courtesy of my man Patrick on a midweek movie music edition of Ball Don't Lie, taking jams from a soundtrack of a movie, playing them for us, and based on those selections, we're supposed to be able to guess by gathering clues and hints. What the feature is for midweek movie music, my man Harsh got it. We got it probably a little later than he should have, but one of his favorite all-time movies, Bad Boys, is the feature for midweek movie music. And I remember this scene too. I should have gotten that too. I've seen Bad Boys too much. I've seen Bad Boys probably 15 times.
I tried to make it difficult, but I really thought y'all were going to get it before the third.
Yeah, we should have. That's on me. We'll take that L. All right, my man Patrick, always keeping us on our toes. We appreciate that. Mavs will have to be on their toes. Mavs got a big game tonight. Basically, the Mavs lose, then their playoff hopes are done. They can't. Now, the playoffs may already be done, by the way. Mathematically, it may not be, a final thing, but if they end up losing tonight against the Kings, then that will probably be all she wrote for their playoff hopes. They are hoping that OKC ends up losing one of their next two games. As a matter of fact, OKC is a half a game ahead right now of the Mavs. So they still got a chance. OKC's last three, they lost their last three. They got at Utah versus Memphis. It's their last two games. Minnesota also can give the Mavs life if they continue to struggle. They are 1-3 in their last four, and they're at San Antonio, at Patrick Spurs, and versus New Orleans to close out their season.
And a note, Utah is only a game behind Dallas as well.
That is. Actually, that's a good point. Right.
OKC and Utah play each other. If Utah wins that game, they jump into the category of possibly being able to push you out, or on the flip side of that, may jump you so you get a better draft pick.
Oh, man. And Luka will play. He will play. And I believe the Kyrie has an injury he's dealing with, but I'm assuming Kyrie's going to play too, that those guys will be all hands on deck trying to keep hope alive for the playoffs. Oh, man.
How quick does Jason Kidd's office get cleaned out? That's what I want to know.
So Nico Harrison said a few days ago, Jason Kidd's still our guy.
There you go. Well,
he has said that. Now, that's a ridiculous statement to make. If you're going to put together a team that he hates, I wouldn't keep him as my coach. But that is what he said.
How about this? Luka was asked about Jalen Brunson randomly, and if he's missed Jalen Brunson. Because he mentioned that they haven't been able to recreate the same chemistry.
I believe the question was, how much does this team miss Jalen Brunson?
Yeah, and he said, quote, a lot.
Yeah.
He said, amazing guy, amazing player, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's probably his guy. It was probably his confidant.
A lot.
It's probably his bestest friend.
Yeah. It just goes to show you that Luka, he is not happy at this time. We know it's stuff away from the court as well, but definitely not happy with the product on the court. I would love to see the Mavs in the playoffs just because I don't want Texas to make history by this being the first time none of their NBA teams, since they've had three, have made the NBA playoffs. That would be the first time since 1980 when they all got three NBA teams. So I'd hate to see that. I'd love to see Luka and Kyrie give it a shot in the playoffs. They're not going far at all. They just can't play D. But it'd be nice to have just star power in the play-in. Sorry, play-in, not playoffs, because Patrick said there's a difference, and he's right. Playoffs, not play-in, so play-in. But it'd be nice to have them in the play-in. And by the way, do we agree to play-in a successful measure by the NBA? Do we like the play-in?
I like the play-in.
I like it.
And especially,
it's working, right?
We're talking about the Mavs right now. We're not talking about them if there's not the play-in, right?
Exactly. That's hope. You keep hope alive.
So these games right now matter because of the play-in.
That's it, and you want to make more games matter. Period. That's why. That's why the new CBA has an agreement, and they don't have details about the in-season tournament. You ever heard about this with the new CBA?
Yeah.
There's no details on how they're going to do it, but they have agreed in principle that there can be an in-season tournament. I don't know what's going to happen with that. That could be really strange, too. But
there's so much going on.
There's a ton going on. All right, so Mavs, we'll talk about that a little bit more tomorrow. Tankathon, not really much to keep up with. The Rockets and the Spurs and the Detroit Pistons are right now all got 14% chance in the lottery to get the first pick. The worst case scenario right now, though, for the Pistons is 5th. That's the worst they could get. The worst for the Rockets is 6th, and the worst for the Spurs would be 7th. That's the worst that they could do. So there you go. That's the update in the Tankathon. We'll come back.
The Tankathon.
And the Rockets. Hopefully the Rockets can win the Tankathon. H-Town needs to win a Tankathon. They lost the last one. The Texans lost the last one and lost the first pick.
So we can't say H-Town stand up. It's H-Town lay down.
Hey, give the Spurs a chance. They're the only ones who haven't been bad the last 4 years.
I know y'all don't deserve this.
We
You
deserve
know
it.
Y'all do not deserve it. Y'all do not.
No,
Y'all, the
y'all
only
ruining
ones-
what you got already.
No,
We deserve it.
Detroit and Houston, they deserve this number one overall pick. Y'all just coming off a dynasty like
Yeah,
5
let's get
years
another
ago.
one because we know how to run a team, unlike Houston.
We need more help than y'all do. Y'all gonna recover. Y'all gonna be all right.
No, we need another.
We gonna
we need
be
Wemby.
all
Give me
right.
Wemby.
No, y'all had Tim Duncan. You want another Tim Duncan, basically?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Y'all are so selfish. All right, we'll come right back, wrap it up and put it right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104 down the horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie. Time to wrap it up, put it in the oven. If you missed any part of any of the shows, please go to hornfm.com and catch up with them on the podcast page. Coming up next, the Flex Crew with the Wednesday Night Flex. Who they got coming up?
That's right, the Flex ATX crew, the Seed, Nolan Hogan, Zach Lucera, and of course my man Cameron Parker. They will have Buda Johnson head basketball coach Ben Kennison, and they will have Corey Mose in studio. KView Sports News anchor, my man Corey Mose.
Hey,
C-Mo!
I'm going to say this about Corey Mose, man. I think that guy's a star.
He is.
I'm just going to say that straight up.
And he came and broke bread with us when we was at Pluckers.
Yes, but he is damn good at what he does.
I love
Talk
it.
about storylines, man. He knows how to find them. What you got on tap tonight?
My son's got a basketball game. I'm on my way to his basketball game. What you got on tap, Patrick?
Watching NBA?
I'm watching
Robbie?
Succession tonight, one of the best shows on TV.
You need to do Reggie, dog.
That's right. Remember the real time we tell about it right here on Ball Don't Lie. We love you guys. We mean that. Take care of yourselves. More place. Take care of each other. Peace.